Never give in. Never give in. Never, never, never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
This country can't be knocked out with one punch. We get right back up again, and when we do, the world's going to hear the roar of our engines.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
You do your work, and we will do our bit.
Republic. I like this sentiment. It means people can live free, talk free, go or come, buy or sell, be drunk or sober, however they choose.
Are you ready to be who you are?
No poetry, just a straight answer.
The government has deliberately sought to deceive the United States by false statements and expressions of hope for continued peace.
We are men of the hood, Mary, now you're explaining.
But there's no both sides anymore. They're just trying to wreck our goddamn country. It's time for you younger guys to take over.
You meant to be here tonight. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
If you guys don't start thinking as men, we're gonna have a lousy country.
For the crimes of incitement to cause unrest, I declare to be an outlaw!
All right, everybody, it is the Outlaw Radio Network. It is the 30th of June, 2024, last day of June. Party, party, party. Thanks for checking out the show, everybody. We appreciate you. K-Dog along here with Black Tom, Lori, the CEO, eating rice, or is that couscous? Is that right or couscous?
Yeah, Chinese food.
But is that rice?
Yeah, that's
okay,
rice.
It's
Chinese food.
It's
Rice.
I couldn't tell. Do the Chinese not eat couscous?
Couscous is Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Oh, so Chinese people don't like Mediterranean food? How racist are you?
China
we
Sun
can find out
Buffet.
later.
By the pound. By the pound at China Sun Buffet. What a way to feed 6 people for $36.
Oh,
$36?
Yeah.
$6 a head.
What is it? Stir-fried rice?
That's not bad.
No, it's vegetable fried rice.
Vegetable fried rice?
Mhm.
I don't know why I said stir-fried rice, but whatever.
I have some beans and beef and broccoli and
Oh, beefy broccoli. Oh, thank you.
sweet and sour chicken.
Oh, sweet sour chicken. Oh,
egg
thank
flour
you.
soup.
You'll be here for an hour. You'll go home now. All right.
And then?
I don't know.
And then?
All right. Phil is running the boards tonight. Hello, Bob Ross. What's going on, buddy?
And then?
Paul will be here shortly, about 8:30 or so, we believe.
Allegedly.
I don't know what he was doing. Probably softball, building a koi pond, submitting to his wife. Whatever he does is totally up to him. But he'll be here at 8:30.
He'll be here as soon as as long as the administration agrees.
Well, we know who runs that house. Listen, let me ask the obvious question. I'd love for Paul to be here for this.
I love Margie.
Okay. I'd love for Paul to be here for this, but Paul's not here.
Yep.
So he's asked out. I can't open the show with any conversation other than the most obvious conversation of all.
You mean the
debate of flatulence.
That debate.
That debate.
That debate.
I thought you were going to talk about your calves, but okay.
The calves are amazing. We did some special coverage afterwards, and clearly, I'm going to acknowledge this first. Clearly, I did not understand how badly Biden did. Now, part of it was because I was listening to it through XM radio, through the channel of my XM radio while I was doing other work. So I wasn't watching to see the glitch that was in the matrix of Joe Biden's life. Now that I've gone back and watched videos of it, I have a slightly different take, but it doesn't change my overarching thought, right? So, boy, he was awful. But it was, I said on Thursday night that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's because I couldn't watch the glitch in the matrix. It was worse than I thought it was.
It was hard to watch.
The thing is, I mean, it's really not that different than his normal day-to-day behavior. It was like a boiled down version of all of his gaffes in one 90-minute entree.
But Jill said, "Good job, you answered all the questions." Did you see that clip?
Well, he obviously gets a gold star next to his name now.
Oh my gosh!
I think she patted him either on his shoulder or his head, like you would a child.
Oh,
it was bad.
It's embarrassing.
It is. Elder abuse. Come on.
Well, listen, I got to watch audio clips of Joe Biden back from 2020. And they were like, they would do a clip and then do a clip and they'd bounce back and forth.
Oh, 2020.
It is so dramatic, the difference in him between then and now. And we had always talked about, and the media has always talked about, and Republicans have always talked about how he has these little glitches, right? These times when he stutters or doesn't really say it right or whatever. But even back then, it was a rarity. Now it's an everyday thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the beginning of your life and the end of your life, 4 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that bell curve.
Now, I still don't think they're going to replace him. There's a big article on CNN you guys can go read. And I like to read CNN about this stuff because if they're reporting on it as the Democratic Party's echo machine, if they're talking about it,
you mean
then
the Democratic Party's circle jerk?
Yeah. Yes. If they're talking about it, then you know that it's an issue in the Democratic Party. Not like the Trump stuff. They'll talk about Trump stuff just to talk about Trump stuff because talking about Trump stuff is fun.
When it sells advertising.
But if they're acknowledging the issues within the Democratic Party in regards to Biden.
Well, that sells advertising right now.
It does. But here's the issue. Here's the fact.
That's why they're covering it, though.
No, they're covering it because the Democratic Party operatives want them to cover it. They want to hear what the public perception is. They want to hear what the public response is.
I would agree with that.
No, I totally do.
They've been hearing what the public perception is.
It's rude to eat on air, but I stopped at the gas station and they had push-up pops. It's ice cream and a push-up. And I was like, okay, I'm going to eat it during the show. So go ahead. I'm paying attention.
Okay. Stop it.
Got my tongue out.
Playing for a different team now.
He's starting to remind me of the Hawk Tua girl.
Hawk Tua. Okay, go ahead.
Honoring the last day of Pride, huh?
Hey, it's orange. It's like Trump. Go ahead.
I don't even remember where I was going with
Hawk Tua. All right. By the way, don't you feel bad for her family? We'll talk about that later. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Come on, Tom. Talk to you.
Oh, yeah. Anyways,
I saw a meme that said, if she don't Hawk Tua, I don't want to talk to her.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Every time I get my thoughts formulated again, I hear about the Hawk
Don't
Tuah
look
girl.
at Kevin.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to ignore
Yeah.
Kevin.
Get a push-up pop. It's a great way to spend a summer day. Go ahead, Tom.
I remember
Yeah,
him
it
as a
is.
kid. I don't remember what the heck we were talking about. We've gone down so many.
He looks circumcised. Go ahead, Tom.
Stop it! I don't even know where we are now.
Oh man, I think you
Yet,
Tom.
yet we're still more mature than Michelle Caldier.
Yes, we are. We'll get to her
no.
later. Sean says in chat for their next trick, Tom will eat a banana on air. Yes, he will. Go ahead, Tom.
No.
A nice yellow golden banana.
Mhm. Make this a promo. If shit don't Hawk Tuah, I don't want to talk to her. All right, go ahead, Tom.
What am I supposed to be talking about? You keep trying to hand me a topic.
Biden.
but-
You were in the middle
Biden.
of talking about something about Biden, and then I interrupted
yeah,
you
and
to
I
talk
don't
about
remember
my.
what the heck we're talking about Biden now.
You
That's
said the
okay.
first 4
Neither did he
years and the
remember what he
last
was
4
talking
years
about.
have big growth
Yeah, what
and
that's
decline.
that's
Hmm?
very true, Phil. You
Yeah.
know, he,
Now, remember, Biden made a good point. Remember, he was talking about, the importance of having that choice, and you never know. I mean, someone they get raped by their sister. I mean, it's a possibility.
What rate by the
I
sister?
didn't get
What?
to see the debate live. So
It was like watching train wreck.
yeah,
You just can't look away.
Yeah, I ended up getting the condensed version of it as I started going through the news cycle, trying to catch up on it, and it was quite the spectacle.
Well, next time let's do a live watch party.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
The reason we
next
didn't do a
time.
watch party, because Paul and I talked about it. The reason we didn't do a watch party is it would be hard for us to watch and talk about it at the same time, because while we were talking, they would say more stupid things we wouldn't hear because we were talking.
I had technology ready to deal with that.
Did you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll talk about it before the next debate if they have one.
You mean if they have one?
Assuming
I
Joe
don't know.
lives that long.
They
There's
will
another-
not have one.
There's another debate already scheduled.
It'll be canceled. Mark my words. There
No.
is no way they put Joe Biden back up on that stage to F up like he did last time.
You're
It
right.
won't happen.
You're right. The next debate is after the conventions, right?
I don't know.
I think the
You
ne-
still think he won't be the nominee?
yeah, I think
He's the nominee.
he's not going to be the nominee.
He's the nominee.
And if
They're
he's-
going to protect him. They're going to put him in lockdown mode. He's not going to have very many public appearances. They're going to keep him on the back burner.
I have read so many articles
Even
that
CNN put out an article or a news spot about Gavin Newsom. How would he have done against Donald Trump?
Sure.
Yeah. New York Times, LA Times, everybody.
Did you hear about the massive 53 or 57 million dollars in campaign donations that came into Biden's campaign after that debate?
No.
oh really
53 or 57 million dollars came in because people believe in Joe. I don't know why, but they do. And that's going to speak more volumes than anything else.
well that
If
was
the
like
fundraising dollars come in, if they tick up, they're going to ride with him.
well that was like Trump getting all that money the first 24 hours after his guilty conviction. So what is this? You stub your toe real hard as a stop it, you weirdo.
Kevin eats ice cream on air. This is great. Listen, they care about the bottom line dollar. For those of you that think that politics is about principles and
Oh, God,
positions
no.
and platforms,
That hasn't been about principles in decades.
it's about dollars.
yes.
When they pulled in 53 or 57 million or whatever it was in the 24 hours after that, that's all they need to see.
But that
People still want to vote for Joe.
no, there are so many people that are saying Joe stepped down. Trump's going to get the White House. So many of those articles out there. I
don't see Biden stepping down.
I don't either, but I could see the DNC replace him at convention time.
Who do you think they replace with?
Oh, I have no idea.
He'd have to step down.
Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama,
Kamala Harris.
Gretchen Whitmer.
Kamala Harris is who's
Gretchen
being
Whitmore.
Yeah. Kamala Harris is who's being talked about on CNN. Like she should be the presumptive, right?
She can't beat
No, hold
Trump.
on.
She
She
can't beat
should
Trump.
be, but she should be the presumptive. She's the vice president, right? And so ideally, in most political times, your vice president was the heir apparent to the president. And when the president did his term and did his 2 terms, if they made it that far, They were automatically going to be the person to run.
She can't beat Trump.
I don't think she can either. I don't know what Democrat can.
None of them can right now.
Michelle Obama might be able to.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
She
Michelle.
hates politics.
She hates politics.
She
And
has
I don't
zero
think
interest.
I don't think she's the nominee, but I think
You could kidnap her family and she still wouldn't do it. I mean, she hates it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm advocating for such thing,
No.
please.
I firmly believe that Michelle Obama is the only one who could beat Trump because there's still a lot of love in this country for the Obama name. And she's not going to run. She's not going to be the person. She's not going to do it. And nobody else beats Trump.
So we're going to have Trump?
No, because I think
maybe a dark horse RFK.
I think Biden still runs
way.
for re-election,
There
and he
is
wins.
No way.
And he wins.
There is
he
no
wins.
way.
Trump deranged syndrome was real.
No.
And people are still donating money to his campaign. $53 or $57 million in the 24 hours after that debate where Joe Biden fell flat on his face.
Yep.
Joe Biden looked like I don't even want to make a joke about it.
If he
looked awful.
If he doesn't step down, because right now he's at Camp David talking to his family about, gee, what do? We just got kicked in the Jimmy.
If he's talking to his family, about that,
it's all ifs. But
he's at Camp David right now, taking his Miralax and his Metamucil.
Yeah,
he's Ben Gay,
trying to find some pancakes.
He's looking at old Wilford Brimley commercials. All right. But he's not going to back out. That man worked for decades to get into the White House. He ran for president so many times for the Democratic nomination and never got it. He finally got where he wanted to go. Those old hands are not going to let go of that brass ring. Even if he should, even if people around him are telling him to, him and his family are not going to let it go because God bless it. He's wanted that spot for decades. They're not going to let it happen.
I know that. You know when he started in politics?
1960 something?
Christ was a corporal?
I think so.
Moby Dick was minnow?
Christ had just part of the
well, yeah, no, I guess
or walked on the
Moses had just part of the Red Sea?
No, it's talking about Jesus walking on the water. Jesus just walked on the water.
He just knew where the rocks were, right?
Well, so I know he did 40 years in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
40. We were all 10-ish. 10-ish.
Oh, Rick has a good point.
What's that?
He also believed that there'd be a chance they'd remove Biden from the ticket until he learned that all the campaign funds already raised would only transfer if Harris became the new candidate.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah. Because remember, Inslee transferred all of his funds to Bob Ferguson, but they had to go and write a new thing.
Yeah, I don't believe that that's necessarily true. I believe that now again, Rick knows this stuff maybe better than I do. Because this is not a constitutional question. It's not in the Constitution. Otherwise, I know it better than all of these schmucks.
Wow.
I believe that if Biden backed out or dropped out, he could donate all of that money to the Democratic Party, and then they could do what they wanted to with it. I believe. Now, I could be wrong. Rick may be right. But I believe that if all those funds were donated to him, if he ducked out, he could donate them to the party. Now, again, Kamala should be the heir apparent because the vice president should be. She's just an awful candidate.
Then it's going to be a Trump White House, presumably.
Biden's not going to back out.
Biden's not going to win either.
Biden's going to win.
No, there's no way.
Biden's going to win.
There is no way.
Because people still believe in Biden. I don't know why.
No, there is no way. The whole globe is shifting right
Nobody wants to put grandpa in a nursing home. People want to feel good about themselves. That's part of the reason why Trump isn't going to win. People don't want to feel dirty and vote for Trump. So they're not going to. So a lot of Republicans will. Like, I'm not saying Trump won't get 48.5 or 49% of the vote. Okay. I'm not saying that. But a lot of people are not going to vote for Trump.
You're right.
They're either just not going to vote
for Biden either.
I think they're going to vote for Biden because
we've suffered under Biden.
No, listen. Here's why people will vote for Biden. You ready? Because people will see it as a referendum, Biden or Trump. And if they hate Trump, they'll vote for Biden because they don't want Trump.
No.
People who are not sure about Trump are not going to vote for Biden. They're going to sit home and they're not going to vote.
the industrialized world right now is in the midst of swinging the other way as far as the pendulum, the political pendulum goes.
I get you.
The United States is going to follow. We're going to do the same thing.
If we had
France
a
has done it,
decent,
UK has done it, Germany's done it, Spain's heading that way.
If we had
only one
Argentina
country,
did it.
Argentina went libertarian, not
well,
conservative.
Yeah, they're going to be in a civil war by next Tuesday.
No,
listen,
they just did
if
great
we
World
had
Cup.
a decent, and I mean a decent person, I'm not talking about Trump's policies and what happened in the country, because Trump, listen, the country was in a really good spot before COVID. And if you're a Democrat and you can't acknowledge that, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, inflation was low, unemployment was low, minority unemployment was low, gas was low, everything was running really, really well.
And
now you might argue that there was a bottom going to fall out of that. I don't know. I didn't see it, but other people can believe that.
Why would the bottom fall out of it?
Well, they're arguing that Trump's policies were not going to work long term. That they did really good stuff short term, but it wasn't sustainable.
We don't know that, but one thing we do know is we were energy independent then, and then in comes Biden and his climate agenda. And what's it cost to heat your home now? What's it cost to fill up a tank of gas? And effectively there, what's it cost to go get groceries because they get shipped with diesel?
Again, you're right, but here's the problem.
Energy independent. We were.
We were.
Yeah.
But here's the problem.
There's no way people are going to vote for that again.
I don't know.
They're people.
Did you see what happened in the 2022 midterms? They voted for that again.
Yeah, but we weren't
voting for president, though.
No, but we were voting for Democrats who were responsible for the policies and processes that jacked up the cost of everything. In fact, inflation was worse. The rate of inflation was worse at the 2022 midterms than it is now. It's trickled down.
Yeah.
And they still voted for Dems across the board. Republicans didn't get the foothold they said they were going to get. You guys have got to get out of this myopic little tunnel where you think that the random lemming voter is paying attention to everything. They want to feel good about their vote. And what they feel good about is voting for grandpa. So we don't put him out to pasture in the nursing home. So he doesn't have to go play bingo and with all the old ladies.
What do you think he does now?
And they don't want to feel good. They don't want to feel bad about casting a vote for Trump. Because they're going to feel like, even though Trump's policies worked, they're going to feel like a little bit of a dirty human being voting for that douche waffle. I'm not saying I advocate for it. I'm voting for Trump.
That leaves
because I am an educated voter and I pay attention to things and I learn from my mistakes.
It leaves RFK.
But the average person doesn't. Corey said the squad is losing 2 members. People are seeing they went too far to the left.
Same.
Corey, and Corey says you're so wrong, Kevin. I might be. But the problem is
the rest of the industrialized world.
Irrelevant.
It's not.
The problem is this song has been playing since right after Biden went into the White House.
Yep.
And in 2022, it didn't make a lick of difference. And if we had a decent human being running as a Republican, just a decent human being, doesn't have to be a good human being, just has to not be Satan with orange hair. Okay. If it was a decent human being, they would easily trounce any Democrat because of how the economy is and inflation and gas and all the other stuff. But we don't have a decent human being running for president. We have I almost said a bad word. We have a poop stain.
Yeah.
We have a giant orange poop stain.
People
and
are going to hold their nose.
That will be enough to sway. Literally, you only have to sway 4% of the vote. Because we're talking 52-48. 41-48. That's a 51-48. That's all we're talking about. You don't have to sway a lot of people. You got to sway 3% of the vote. 3% of Republicans and conservatives will stay home and not vote at all. Or they'll vote for RFK, or they'll vote for a libertarian candidate, or they'll vote for somebody besides Trump because Trump is disgusting to them. The Democrats will not lose anybody if Biden's on the ticket, because they will see it as a referendum against Trump and not a vote for Biden. Hold on, we'll talk about this more. We'll check your comments and chat. Stick around. It's Outlaw Radio. K-Dog is always right. Shut your mouths. All right, Outlaw Radio. Let's check some of your comments, shall we? Because my laptop is going to die here shortly unless Emily gets back with my power cable in time. Well, but see, mine takes this weird, funky, like almost like a HDMI looking power cable. Do you have that? Oh,
You must have a Lenovo.
no, I have a Dragonware. It's a gaming laptop.
Must be a Chinese name for Lenovo.
It probably is Chinese. And I'm totally okay with that because it means they can hack all my stuff. Just make it easy for them. No, look how big. See how big it is back there? That's what she said. Right here. See right there, Lori? Look, it almost looks like a USB connector, but okay. All right, let's get in and check some of your comments. Corey said, all those votes or other people will get Trump elected. Not if it's Republicans that are voting for those other people. That's the problem. Not if it's conservatives that are voting for those other people. That's the problem. Because again, the Democrats are going to vote en masse. The Democrats, for whatever reason, are a giant circle jerk. And I mean that in the way we've always thought of a circle jerk, not in the new way that we learned. Okay.
So many Dems are jumping ship right now after that debate. I've read so many articles. I don't have, like I said, I don't have my cell phone with me today, so I can't pull up a bunch of the articles, but I've read so many. People are jumping ship.
Yeah.
Biden's done.
I listen, I hear you. I don't believe you. Because in the end, the Democrats will rally around, who do they hate the most? They hate Trump. They will rally around whatever candidate it is, they will vote for them.
They'll vote
because
RFK.
they don't want Trump.
They'll vote RFK.
If Biden's on the ballot, they're going to vote for Biden. Hold on, we'll come back. It's Outlaw Radio on the Megatalk Radio Network.com. PhilSexy.com.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
Outlaw Radio, we're going to answer G. Andrew Kennedy's question. How's the weather? The weather's great. It was a little sprinkly early, but the weather was good.
The weather was crap yesterday.
I was bad. Well, I'm just talking about like right now. When I came into studio, it was comfortable outside.
Yeah.
It feels like business is closing out there, by the way.
It was a little muggy.
Yeah. Multiple businesses are leaving this fine facility we're in the South Kitsap Mall. And a taxidermy shop and place where we mourn the death of small
rink
business.
And meat locker.
Yeah. The policies of the legislature makes you wonder why businesses don't stay open. You don't have to wonder. Taxes, restrictions, regulations. I mean, it's what happens when you give the far left the ability to do whatever they want to in this state, Phil?
I mean, in my opinion, this business probably overextended themselves trying to like do the axe throwing place, and they were kind of late to promising and under delivering, and
they made a bunch of business mistakes, and then the state legislature handed them the final nail to their coffin with but
it took them forever to get approved for a liquor license in the axe throwing shop.
That's just the state.
But that's what I'm saying, right? I mean, a lot of this is attributable to the fact that the state has too many rules, too many regs, too many stupid things in place, too many asses you have to kiss.
You're not going to get argument from me.
You know what I mean? And
yes, I do.
And it's going to happen to the place. So if you've never been to Portland, let me explain this to you for the folks that live in Michigan, where all they have is the blue Wolverines, which doesn't even make any sense because Wolverines are not blue, but whatever. My balls are, but Wolverines are not. In this mall, we're a small mall. Okay, like back in the 60s and 70s, this place was popping.
This place didn't exist in the 60s or 70s.
No, it didn't. Places like this were popping though.
Yeah,
okay?
it was built in 79 and opened to the public in 80.
Okay, in the late 90s, when I was at this station the first time, this place was popping.
Mm-hmm.
There was all kinds. There was a cool little candy shop down the way. This place was popping.
It was all the pre-internet stuff.
Yeah. And then this place lost a lot of business, like a lot of other retail did. And then they've done a really good job of bringing back niche businesses into this little mall.
Mm-hmm.
Niche businesses that need a little bit of a presence to do well, right?
Yep.
So the karate place that's downstairs, the VR cafe across the way, the gymnastics place that they just put in, some of the small mom and pop places that are downstairs.
You missed the all important hot dog place.
Harbor.
Whoever
hot
thought
dogs.
you would go to a mall to get hot dogs?
Oh, they have the best hot dogs.
It's a good hot dog.
But they're
Cheese
halt
curds.
dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, the fried cheese curds are ridiculous.
Oh my
But again, so when you look around and you wonder why small businesses aren't working, this is part of the issue, right? You can't overregulate them, and you've got to take some regulations off of some of the small businesses if you want them to work. The downside to small businesses is they can't compete with big businesses if you are going to straddle them with a whole bunch of extra stuff.
Well, why do small businesses get saddled with all that stuff?
Because they don't have the money to lobby for the rules they want.
Well, because the big businesses all contribute to campaigns, etc. So the politicians are bought and paid for by Walmart and Home Depot and
Except for me.
whatever.
Can I get one that doesn't have bacon on it? Yes,
And
Phil.
it's a reminder. This is why business owners, people talk about, oh, they're making money hand over fist. They need to make money so they can risk money. These guys with their gun shop and their accident place, they're probably losing a mint.
Well, probably. Oh, I'm sure they are.
It's like the classic. You know how to make a small fortune? Start with a big one.
Yeah. Well, and here's
Open a business.
And here's the deal too, right? I mean, I don't in this state. Again, I'm a big Second Amendment supporter, but I would never open a gun shop in this state.
Oh no.
Because they are working backwards to try to get guns completely out of here. Now, again, whether you support that decision or not, why you would open a business that has a lifespan on it is beyond me. I wouldn't do it.
You know,
I think everybody should be allowed to own guns. I'm not against guns, none of that. I'm just saying, as a businessman, it isn't a long-term venture.
You know where you open a gun shop? 5 miles into Idaho.
Yeah,
right across the border.
It's
right
funny.
across the border.
I heard it said, if you could change one word in the Second Amendment, if the founders knew what they know today, what word would they change? Just one word.
What's that?
It starts out, the need of a militia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how about the need of the public?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
A well-regulated public.
Maybe. I mean, again, that's been something that's been debated by constitutional scholars since the foundation of the country. What do they mean by militia? What was meant by militia?
Citizen soldiers.
Well, but again, what was meant? What did they envision that to mean? They clearly didn't know about nukes and hand grenades.
Correct.
Do you believe that George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and the finest founding father of all time, Alexander Hamilton,
You mean Ben Franklin?
intended to
Love it.
intended to allow the average person to have hand grenades and nuclear bombs? No, of course he didn't.
I disagree with that.
They had muskets and
I think
and
they
cannons.
intended for people to have.
I think they intended for people to have the same military hardware as the government.
Do you know how many times I've been murdered by now by women I've dated if they had access to nukes? Please.
This is why I'm going to dig a hole for you.
Yeah,
Nukes.
Nukes we may have to draw a line at, but
hand grenades.
No, I think a private citizen should be.
You are out of your ever-loving
Okay,
mind.
I'll go ahead and dig the hole.
Go ahead.
See, they wouldn't have probably written the Second Amendment different if they had, the women voting. So, but and Lori is just.
I'm glad you said it, Tom. Phil.
We're number one. I'm just helping dig a hole for you.
Actually, as crappy as it sounds, I don't think he's wrong.
Holly said, "This is so tired. Republicans have been claiming they're coming for your guns for decades, and y'all still have them." She's not wrong. Listen, Obama. When Obama was in the White House, people in Texas were like, "Obama's coming for our guns." I think they still have them.
I do
now,
remember that.
They've restricted some guns. They've placed restrictions on semi-automatic rifles and stuff in the state of Washington. So she's not totally right in the sense that they have come for some of the guns. I mean, they've made it so you can't get some of the guns. But what they've done is they've effed with other things. They've increased taxes on ammunition, and there's other ways that they're going about it. I just look. You wait till the Supreme Court's done with the people that Donald Trump appointed to the Supreme Court. You wait till these gun cases make it to the Supreme Court. You're going to start seeing all this stuff get chipped away. All of it, because you've got 6 conservative-minded judges on the Supreme Court. It doesn't matter what the 3 liberals say. They don't have the ability. They can't stop it. Nukes and hand grenades. You're out of your damn mind, man.
Hand grenades, yeah. Nukes, probably not.
You gonna get that phone call? Yeah. You're the bestest. All right. Other comments in Sean said Newsom tried to get a campaign going to repeal the Second Amendment. Yeah, that'll never happen. No, it'll never happen for 3 reasons.
Was it 2/3 of the states? Yeah, and
supermajority.
Yeah, and half the states are no.
Yeah, that's one. 2, there's not wide enough spread support for it. There's a lot of Democrats that own guns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
and
moderate.
3, just wait for someone to come up publicly with that. They might win in California. They ain't going to win anywhere else.
No, they get tarred and
I mean, if you're Gavin Newsom and you're like, when I'm president, I'm going to push for the abolition of the Second Amendment. He might win 5 states.
Washington, Oregon, California,
New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts.
Probably more likely.
Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah.
Sean also said Texas has never been as pro-gun as people think. They're only allowed to open carry for a couple of years. Or they've only allowed open carry for a couple of years. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Nelson said
Texas
ground-to-air
is
missile
splotchy.
launchers. A libertarian boy. Do you think people should have ground-to-air missile launchers?
I don't see why not. I mean, what are you going to do with it?
Take out an airplane.
Okay.
There are terrorists in this country.
Yeah, I'm not saying they shouldn't be vetted.
Your boyfriend dumps you, and so you take your air-to-ground missile launcher or ground-to-air missile launcher and take out his bus on his way on his commute into work.
Well, that's called murder.
Yes, but again, are you really going to bust out the a good guy with a air rocket missile will stop a bad guy with an air rocket missile? Is that what you're going to tell me?
Do you know how?
I got multiple calls as I'm driving about people busting Lori's balls over guns.
What? I don't know.
Why are you guys giving Lori grief over guns?
Where are you, and why are you not here? It's after 8:30.
I'm just.
I know. It just took me a little longer than I thought. I'm coming. I'm on my way.
Okay.
Lori's balls are on her chest.
So can I add? You were talking about how, or actually, the comment was made by the listener Holly.
Paul, listen, I love you, and I want to hear your comment, but the feedback we're getting on this phone line is awful. How long till you get here?
Well, doesn't matter. I mean, I'm passing the shipyard.
Okay, save the comment for when you get here because I don't want people to miss it, but the feedback is awful.
Really?
Yeah, it's really bad. Oh, hold on. Keep
It's
talking
gone
again.
now, so that's
okay,
weird.
Go ahead and give your comment now. It is gone right now. Go ahead.
Okay.
The trick is to turn them down.
The point is that thanks to Brandy Cruz, she sent me in a direction on research to a gentleman that's been doing a bunch of Freedom of Information Act requests amongst the Teams chat functions. I don't even know anything about Teams. I just know that it's and when he did that Freedom of Information Act request, they found that the Democrats are openly discussing driving up the cost of ammunition or removing people's ability to buy it altogether.
Yeah.
Which is also a infringement.
Well, the words shall not be infringed. That's all it says. So what does that mean?
It's still an infringement.
I don't disagree.
If I have a tool and I can't get the parts to make the tool operate,
then and listen, she made a perfectly valid point when she said Republicans have been making this claim for years. Yes, they have. Right? I think we can all agree on that. Every time there's a school shooting, gun sales go up. Right? Why? Because everybody instinctually feels like some other attempt to regulate guns is going to come down the pipe. Again, and that does usually happen, right? I think we can all agree on that as well. So we put all that together, and knowing that Democrats in Washington state are openly trying to make ammunition now next to impossible to get, or that's what they want to do, here's why she's right, and here was why she's wrong. Because it's the work of activists pushing back against those very tactics that has kept us from having our guns taken. So it is absolutely of the utmost importance for Second Amendment supporters to keep our foot on the gas to prevent any of these bills from passing. And clearly, to this point, we've done a pretty good job with it.
Bob Ross?
I was going to say, even more important, remember Section 24, the right of the individual citizen to bear arms in defense of himself or the state shall not be impaired. Washington State Constitution is even stronger.
Yes, which you're right. Yep, Washington State is stronger than the Second Amendment. Yes.
Well, but here's the problem, right? The problem is that it's going to go into effect for however long it takes to get to the U.S. Supreme Court.
What's going to go into effect?
If they pass that law, it will go into
the
effect.
one they were talking about ammunition?
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. But here, let me tell you, Kevin, this is what it'll do.
Hold on. We're got bump music playing for break, so hold on, Paul. Hold on. Outlaw Radio.
Okay.
We'll continue this on the Facebook side. If you're on AIM, enjoy the commercials. We're back after this on Megaton. All right, Outlaw Radio. Would you cut one more piece? I'm going to give it to Emily. She's almost here with my power cable for my laptop.
Does she want bacon or not?
Give her to her without bacon. I don't know if she'll do the bacon or not. I can't ask her. Paul, what were you saying? Now go ahead.
What was I saying? I was just talking about how Hawley had a valid point, but it's the fact that there's so much pushback against all of these bills and attempts to tighten. It's actually, I liken it in a lot of ways to how Democrats always say that Republicans are going to take away abortion, right? So Democratic activists keep pushing back. It's very similar issue with regards to the tactics and stuff that are used. What else was I saying there when we went to break when I was cut off?
Well,
I remember
I had said it was gonna pass long enough for it to go to the U.S. Supreme Court.
That's right. And the point I was going to make was the one thing that would do, because ammunition is one of those rare things where if hunters and people for home defense and stuff cannot get their hands on ammunition, they'll make their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Until
I can tell you that
until they try to pass some law that says they can't.
Well, they're not going to be able to pass it retroactively. Well, I guess they who knows what they'll do, because like once you buy the equipment, you can make ammunition, but you have specialty for each. You have to buy different tools and equipment for each size of round that you want to make. But then you still have to buy the brass. You still have to buy the end caps. You still have to buy the raw materials. That's right.
All right, hold that thought. We're coming back on AM. It's the Outlaw Radio Network. Paul joining us by phone. The rest of us in studio where we belong. Back after this.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
All right, we're back. Final segment, hour number 1. Paul joining us by phone as he's on his way into studio. In studio, K-Dog Black, Tom Lloyd, the CEO, Bob Ross. Is Dennis here? No, Dennis? All right. I was going to give him a hug and cup his ass, but okay. Paul, go ahead. You were in the middle of chatting.
No, that was all I had to say. I wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, listen, my fear is, we'll make this a little bit local. My fear is with the actions of people like, I don't know, Michelle Caldier, risking seats that the Republicans have. If the Democrats get that supermajority, they only need to lose one more seat. If Democrats gain one more seat.
Are you sure about that?
That's what I've been told. Yeah.
Well, I would double check it because I think it's more than that. I think it's like 5 or 6.
I don't know. I'll check, but that's what I've been told.
And while I say this to my wife frequently, I very rarely say it to you, Kevin. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Hold on. I should be able to check that really quick. Hold on. Paul, you and Tom chat for a sec. Let me do some research.
Tom.
Hey, buddy.
How was Biscuits and Brews yesterday?
Actually, it was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the day started out real pretty. Nice weather and all that stuff, and then by everything's supposed to start at 4, and I think by 5 o'clock we had rain, lots of rain.
For sure. Well, Doc Blackwell always puts on amazing events,
Oh, yeah.
and he is one of those rare public servants. I just so tip my hat to that guy.
Oh, Doc was, I don't know if you've been out to a Briskets and Brews before, but Doc is
Not the Biscuits and Brews. I've been out to the one he does with shoes and haircuts.
Oh, Doc loves a kid's day.
Yes.
Yeah. He's the same kind of whirling dervish at Briskets and Brews. Just the guys, he's everywhere. There were so many things going on, and he was barbecuing or grilling, so I mean, not only was he, being the master of ceremonies and the guest of honor and the janitor and the I don't know, the guy that wears all the hats, he also cooked.
So who won?
Team number 3, and I don't know what that means.
Oh, because weren't the Bremerton police?
Yeah,
also
so
there
it was
cooking
Bremerton
or
PD.
Grilling. Sorry.
Yeah, it was
cooking.
Bremerton PD and Lion's Den and Boomhouse,
Right.
and then there was a third contestant in there, and I've met him before. He's close with Lion's Den and Boomhouse, but I don't know why he didn't. I don't know what the
little rivalry.
Yeah, I don't know what the glitch was in that, but it was
Tom,
pretty good, and he made really good ribs.
Let me ask you a question, Tom.
Yeah.
What do you think about us having an Outlaw Radio Network team next year at Biscuit and Brews?
Oh, I'm in.
Awesome. We'll do it.
I'm absolutely.
You and I can. We'll plan it. We won't allow Kevin because he will say his ribs are the best.
Yeah. No.
And right, I have plenty. I mean, I have enough ego for both of us, but I know that my food is never the best. There's always somebody better.
I'm a 2-trick pony. I make.
Sorry, Heather.
Whatever. I make pretty good Asian food. I have some pretty good Japanese dishes that I put together.
That's great though, dude. I'm kudos for you for
and then
cooking that stuff. Like,
yeah, and if it's not Japanese food, it's grilling. Give me fire and dead animal, and I will make you good food there.
Yes.
Yeah, those are my 2 tricks.
Know your heat.
Yep.
And know your meat.
Yeah, don't rush. Don't rush.
Yes,
That's everyone's problem.
220. Bake that brisket on 220 degrees for 10 hours. Oh.
Yep. Yeah, at least 10. At least.
That's right. At least 10.
Yeah.
Now I will say this. We can use my secret barbecue recipe that it combines with your Asian cooking skills, because my barbecue sauce that I make from scratch has a heavy Asian overtone to it.
Oh,
Thai chili peppers and sweetness. Yeah. So I literally take my base honey barbecue and add mapoy.
Okay. Yeah, I typically when I grill, I don't do a lot with the Japanese flavors. I mean, sometimes I'll bust out the ginger and the garlic and stuff, but usually usually I play with whiskey.
So what I'll do is I will make some this week, okay?
Okay.
And on Wednesday night I'll bring it in so you can taste it.
Okay. I'll have to make some barbecue sauce too. I think Friday I'm supposed to grill, so that could work out well.
Love it. Did Kevin look up his numbers yet? His numbers of seats?
No, Kevin is out of the studio at the moment.
No, but Christopher Gergen is in, and he said that it's only one more. He's also said that currently it's 40 Republicans to 58 Democrats in the House.
Okay, so Christopher Gergen is confirming that it is only one seat.
Yeah, he said at 39 we're screwed. At 38 Republicans, it's all over.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris, for reminding of us of how absolutely we are.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, Chris. I do. Thank you.
It's reality.
Because I did not think it was that close. I thought it was definitely a few more than that.
Well, we'll see how. I don't know. Kevin's back. Our doomsday soothsayer. talking about how
as soon as he sits down, somebody break the bad news to him.
Okay, give me the bad news. What do we got?
It was confirmed by Chris Gergen while listening to the show that it is indeed one seat.
Okay, well, that's what I said then. So it's bad news, but it's good news because it proves once again that I was right. And you need to quit questioning my greatness, Paul.
Oh,
I'm sitting here just excited. That
no,
Christopher put
Kevin,
the
I'm going to
right
push
form of
back on
your-
that one.
Okay.
That's one of those things
hey guys,
you want
I'm
to be
here in
wrong
the
about.
parking lot, so I'm getting off the phone. Okay?
About damn time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Anyway.
Kevin, that's one of those things you want to be wrong about.
No, I'm just saying I know my facts. You can't argue facts, right?
I want a balanced legislature.
No, I do too, right? Like I want about, but again, Tom, here's the difference between me and you. I love you like a brother, I really do.
Okay.
There are very few guys I'd rather sit around and just drink with and talk with and joke about stuff with and just enjoy life with.
Okay.
But you live
here's
you
the
live
but.
in a libertarian utopia where all things are possible and all things are great. And if only this, and this would happen, and if only people would stop voting for two parties, and if only we could get an even legislature.
No.
If all, but I'm a realist. I'm a realist, and I realize that none of the things you dream about could actually happen.
My first step, the first thing I want to see, because I'm not going to get a libertarian governor or something like that, right? So the first thing I want to see is just a good balance between the two opposing parties.
Sure.
So that no one does something too stupid in one direction or the other. And that's what we have right now.
Yeah. Do you think we're ever going to see that in this state again? Ever?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
You're drunk.
No.
Were you
really
smoking
not.
green things before you came on air tonight?
No. I'm fully sober.
I don't believe you for a minute.
In
this state,
people are going to get fed up.
When?
I
Hold
don't
on.
know.
When are they going to get fed up?
2 years ago.
I love watching the conservatives in this chat talk about we've just about had enough. You schmuck said that 10 years ago. You guys said that back before. You guys have said that so many times. We've nearly had enough. You could only push us conservatives too far before we finally rise up and show you what happens when we've had enough. Well, I'm still waiting for it, and you guys haven't done it.
I'm waiting for it too.
Yes.
Right now, because I can't have my way. I just want some balance, man.
Jander Kennedy, Kevin is trying to come on to Tom right now without making it obvious. Shoot your shot, homie. Look, I have heard that just maybe Holly and I will actually agree on this. Holly, tell me if you agree with this statement. We have heard Republicans and conservatives say for years, you can only push us too far before we rise up. Remember, we're armed, and rebellion was fought by 3% of the people in 1776, and we're stronger than you think. And it's never happened. Every single time they dig in and say this is just about enough, something else happens, and they come right back and say, and it's just about enough. And 10 years have gone by. And when they took the $30 license tap fees, this is about enough. And when they started teaching this weird sex ed stuff in school, this is about enough. And when they started passing all this trans stuff, this is about enough. And when they increased gas, this is about enough. And when they jacked up our gas, this is about enough. And when they talked about an excise tax, this is about enough. And now they're talking about putting up income tax. This is about. It's never going to be. This is about enough. You guys are professional victims, for Christ's sake.
What about those 6 initiatives?
Yeah.
And the seventh one is
seventh one.
about to make it through.
Okay.
Right.
I
and
get it.
What about all
And
the
that's-
people who are now running for candidacy?
Yeah,
whether it's
and that's
city
not the
council,
GOP.
school
That's the
board.
people.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
The
not the
people are
GOP. That's the
rising up
people. People are
in
fed
a
up.
peaceful
Hold on.
manner right now.
You're right. But here's the problem. Here's my
I
question.
don't care about the GOP.
Here's what
I mean, I'd
here's
like
what-
to see
Me either.
balance.
Here's what
but-
I don't understand. That's not what they said they were going to do.
No, you're
We're
right.
going to rise up. You did
Right.
not say you're going to rise up by doing referendums. You were going to rise. You did not say you're going to rise up by putting more people in the tickets.
That's the blowhard.
Because you know what? After November, there's not going to be a major shift in the legislature. You're not suddenly going to
where?
see in this
In
state.
Washington?
In this state.
Probably not.
You're not going to see a huge shift in the legislature in this state.
Few seats.
Maybe a couple seats here, a couple seats there. I think
few.
it'll still be relatively even. I think Democrats could actually take supermajority in this because they only have to lose one seat, and the state keeps going bluer and bluer and bluer like my balls. But listen, the fact of the matter is, The fact of the matter is, I have heard conservatives and Republicans argue for decades. We've had just about enough. And then nothing.
I agree.
They're like professional victims.
I agree.
But now the independents are coming to their aid, if
but,
you will.
But the population is also speaking up. And
Yeah.
you have to be honest, the GOP is leading that. I mean, Let's Go Washington is a GOP funded thing.
The GOP is not leading Jack.
I'm sorry, it's a conservative. Yeah, it's a conservative.
They're not leading Jack or squat. Do you know what's leading Jack and squat? The fact that people are feeling it in their pocketbooks.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people are signing petitions.
But that's why people are signing it.
But it's being. I guess I'm speaking right. It's being presented. It's being spearheaded. It's being organized by the conservatives.
Sure.
Yeah.
And if the roles were reversed and it was being organized by Democrats and people were still feeling their pocketbooks, people would still sign them. This has nothing with the party. It's not like the Republican GOP suddenly found the fountain of youth to appeal to voters. They're able to seize on the fact that this administration, both in Olympia and in DC, nationally and statewide, have failed the people of this country. They have failed in economics. They have failed in the economy. They have failed working families. They have failed the poor. They have failed the minorities.
I'm not arguing with
They
you.
have failed constitutionalists. They have failed all of them. And so people are signing those, not because the GOP's done anything magical or wonderful. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Hey, I'm not arguing for the GOP or I'm just saying they're the ones leading the charge, so you can't discount them completely.
Well, we'll
They're
continue this in a second.
organizing
I'll check your chats in just a second. Hold on, Outlaw Radio. Outlaw Radio. I don't know what you're asking me, Larry. Do you want to wait and ask me that off camera? Off mic?
No, I was just curious. I got a political candidate text. I don't believe I'm in their area,
You're in the 26th?
but I'm in the second, not the
No,
first.
you're in the 26th. You vote
26th
for
is
both.
the 26th.
Okay.
26 is both.
Got it.
You get to vote for Jesse Young in his spot if you want. You get to vote for Michelle Calder in her spot.
Or
Here we go. Comments in chat as we're at the top of the hour. Junior Kennedy, Kevin's balls look like the girls who ate the blueberry pie gum in the 70s Willy Wonka movie. Never saw the movie. Can't really put that into context, Junior Kennedy. Thank you.
See the first Willy Wonka movie?
No, I have not seen the first Willy Wonka movie.
Really?
It's no
Home with Gene
surprise.
Wilder?
I'm sorry, Emmy. Your father has,
Rick Eckert, we're going to rise up has the same support and validity as I'm moving to Canada. Amen, Rick. Because people all said they're going to move to Canada, and most of them didn't do that either. Donald Trump's going to win the White House. I'm going to Canada. Well, you're still here. Why didn't you leave? Bob Ross?
Kind of ironic. I don't know if you're familiar with the song Dayenu, kind of a Jewish, the 15 blessings of God. Like they just keep going and going and going. It reminds me of that.
Yeah. Holly said, when we do talk about the conservative majority of SCOTUS, that's the Supreme Court of the United States, folks. Just don't have conversations off the mic. You guys step out in the hallway if you need to. Deciding that public officials, judiciary can accept gratuities without it violating federal law, as long as it's only after they get a favorable decision, contract awarded. Then deciding the very next day to abolish the Chevron difference and grabbing power away from the execution branch of the people. If you all thought we were owned by corporations before, we 100% will be now. I don't disagree with you at all, Holly.
Now, I don't know if Holly, I think she was mentioning the conservative majority in the Supreme Court. I think if you look closely, you'll find it's 3 conservatives, 3 liberals, and 3 corporatists.
Corporatists?
They're going to do whatever is good for the man.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at Barrett. She's...
Oh, I'd love to look at Barrett. Oh, she's amazing. She's beautiful. All right. Looking for other comments in chat. Junior Kennedy, as an active person in good physical shape, I have to admit something to all of you. The mental gymnastics in this chat have absolutely whooped my ass. I'm exhausted.
I don't know. Amy.
Are you talking about Justice Barrett?
Amy Coney Barrett, she's beautiful.
Oh, okay.
You don't agree?
I don't look at women that way. Sorry.
You don't think she's an attractive woman?
I guess so.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you right now.
I was surprised that you.
Kevin's over here.
You know what makes a woman most attractive?
What?
I'm gonna get roasted for this.
Sure.
Being passionate about something, being outstanding in something, being committed to something, right?
Okay.
Whether it is, in her case, being a member of the judiciary, whether it is any number of things. A woman who would look average in like a magazine can be sexy as hell if she is in her place, doing what makes her happy, what she's passionate about. I don't mean her place at the kitchen. Stop rolling your eyes at me.
I didn't
If
roll
she's
my
if she's
eyes.
if she's in her space, if she's in her space where she's most comfortable.
So you're saying speak legal to me.
For her, yeah. She's a beautiful girl.
Wow. I'm just shocked.
Well, I don't know why.
I don't know. Is Holly announcing something here? What's going on?
I just thought you were,
Is she being committed to a mental?
I don't know. Amy Coney Barrett's a beautiful woman.
I got to find the
don't
context.
disagree.
Well, then why did you come at me like that?
Because she's so much different than you are. So
No, I just listen. I think it's really possible for us.
Is Lori saying if she
Look,
was on the
Tom,
calendar,
look, isn't she attractive? She's a beautiful woman. Look at her.
Is Lori saying if she was on the calendar, it'd be Girls Gone Mild?
You know what? Listen, you little sexist pigs in here need to stop. Okay,
Whoa.
a woman can be attractive by more than just her looks.
yeah, I agree.
Right. But if they're
So can men.
intelligence, compassion, communication, empathy, their ability to fry bacon, all those things can make a woman way more attractive. Okay. So Amy Coney Barrett's a beautiful woman. I don't have to agree with everything she stands for.
No, I'm just giving out gift ideas for Tom. No, I think it's amazing. You guys do share something in common.
Me and Amy Coney Barrett?
Yeah.
Neither one of us has a spot on the Supreme Court or should have a spot on the Supreme Court. What do we have in common?
Children, number.
Oh, she has as many kids as I do?
I think she has one more.
No, does she really? Wow.
Yeah.
She's got a lot. I'll have to look into that. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, I don't
All right, we got like
oh, Paul's here too.
20 seconds.
Paul's going to come in here and talk sexist stuff about Amy Coney Barrett too. I just need to expect it. K-Dog can't say a woman's attractive without pulling out all the
That's
weirdos,
not what...
all the earwigs from the woodwork. Outlaw Radio, we're back after this. Amy Coney Barrett, you're a hottie. Call me.
Greed, deception, abuse of power, that's no plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in a non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen this. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas, drinking a banana broccoli shake, singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer weed.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network. OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
My daughter's leaving. Hold on. Can you give me a hug? My daughter brought my power cable down because she loves her dad.
You can give the hug to me. I'll give it to him for you.
Oh. Love you, boo. I'll see you at home. All right, there goes my daughter. All right. Holly said you're both into that whole Handmaid's Tale thing. We're talking about my my man crush on Amy Coney Barrett. I don't know what the Handmaid's Tale thing is, so I can't really comment on that.
We did find Holly really funny. She says that you're looking for someone that's really committed, right? Like to a mental hospital.
You know what?
Having watched The Handmaid's Tale, I can guarantee that Kevin would not be into it.
No, I don't even know what the Handmaid's Tale is.
Don't worry, we can talk off air about it.
I got through the first season of it, and after that, I couldn't get into it anymore.
Yeah.
No. Hey, listen, we were
pretty
talking
hard,
about
pun intended.
we were talking about in the last hour before we get off of this subject completely. We were talking about Joe's poor performance, and I, as I mentioned before, when I listened to the debate on Thursday, I wasn't watching the debate. I was listening to it on my XM radio.
Okay.
And so I wasn't able to watch. And I went back and got to watch much of the debate. And it just, watching it made it way worse.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. Watching it made it way worse. So
body language speaks a lot.
Well, and just the look on his face at different times in that debate when he wasn't even talking and just the complete look of oblivion.
He had the 1,000-yard stare.
And then I saw a thing on Twitter today that was a comparison of his speeches in 2019 and 20 to now, and how he was able to deliver messages then and now. And it's night and day.
Absolutely.
It is night and day. So I still don't think he'll be replaced in the ballot. I still think he'll be your candidate in November. I still think he wins, but
that's not
boy, it was way worse than I thought it was. Way worse. What did you think about it, Paul? Now that you've had a few days to stew on it and think about it, what did you think of that? And do you think he'll still be there come November?
I think he'll still be there, short of family members convincing him not to. And I personally am of the belief that Dr. Jill Biden thoroughly enjoys her position far too much. Watching her the next day with the president, the way that she spoke to him, about him, and at him on stage was like WTF.
Yeah, she doubled down, right? I mean, she was a little pitbull up there. Is what?
Well, it's this idea that here's a man who's the duly elected president of the United States, sans Trump, and she's looking at him, pointing at him in front of this crowd, going, "You did it, Joe. You answered all the questions. Every one of them. Yeah, all of that stuff, right? Yeah. Like she's talking to a kindergartner, and he had this stare and half smile on his face, like, I made mommy proud. I made mommy proud. Yay, I made mommy proud. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, leave this crap alone. Like, people are already assuming this, and she gets up there on stage and does this whole spiel like she's doing this odd, childlike reward for a job well done. And it was just like, you are making this 10 times worse, lady. 10 times worse. Like, I did not subscribe to this idea that many people do, that this is bordering on elder abuse. I did not subscribe to that. Not at all.
Yep.
I do now. After seeing how she behaved towards him, dude, that woman is riding hubby's coattails and enjoying every minute of it, I think. I listened to her on The View about 2 weeks ago, talking about him and what people were going to see. Nothing could have been further from the truth. He's not just a second slower. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about average aging, and we all age. We all are a little slower 1 year to the next, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I go out and I play ball a couple nights a week. I see my slowing and my aging, and you know, and that's something that you have to be very honest about. And so there's just, you can't pretend that you're 5-6 years younger than you are. You have to be like, especially if, okay, let me put it like this. If you truly give a damn about this country, its safety and security, when you're in the place that Joe Biden is mentally and emotionally now, you're not, I don't think Joe's in a position to say, I don't want to do it. I don't believe that. Yeah. I believe that Jill Biden is telling him, you got this, you're good to go. And he lacks the mental acuity to go, no, I don't. I really don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I who else is the driving force? Hunter?
Yeah, probably not.
Right. He's got his own troubles. So I am concerned on many levels. Phil?
I was just reading Holly. She's like, you know, something about, you know, we complain liberal women don't support their men, but Jill is her husband's hype man. I don't know.
That's what I said.
More like mommy.
She could be like that too. I don't disagree.
That does not support your man. In other news, Holly says, don't we have better things to talk about, like SCOTUS? Like, Holly, please call in.
Well, hold on, Holly. I guess I'm just curious.
874-1400.
Well, hold on. I don't know how this is not something worth talking about, though. You know what I mean? I mean, it really is going to shift the entire. It could have an impact on the entire election, which impacts the next 4 years. So
it better have an impact.
We're going to talk about SCOTUS for sure. I'm just curious, Holly, as a member of the left, right? I mean, you're a proud member of the progressive movement, right? What do you think with Joe? Should Joe step aside? Does that have you worried? Should somebody like Kamala take his spot? Or we've heard of Newsom, maybe Michelle Obama, maybe somebody else. Is there somebody else you'd rather see in there? I mean, this is a huge discussion, and it is no longer. Listen, for the last several years, it's been pushed on us that, oh, this is all a fraud. There's nothing wrong with Joe. He's totally fine. This is the right trying to make him look bad. This is Republicans attacking him, and there's nothing to see here.
So have you guys seen the
Folks, hold
CBS
on.
News poll?
Folks, we just saw it. There's plenty to see here. Paul, go ahead.
The CBS News poll. Did you guys talk about it? Did I miss it?
No, not yet.
Biden. So Biden have mental and cognitive health to serve as president? I think what they meant to say was, does Biden have the mental and cognitive health to serve as president? On 6/9 of 2024, that poll was taken. 35% on June 9th said he does, and 65% said he doesn't. That was on June 9th.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge number.
What is it again? Give us those percentages.
On June 9th, 35% of registered voters believed that Joe Biden did have the mental and cognitive health to serve as president.
That was all registered voters?
Registered voters. Okay. 65% do not believe Biden had the mental and cognitive health. This was on June 9th, before the debate. After the debate, only 27% believe he has the cognitive ability. 72% do not believe that the president of the United States has the mental and cognitive ability to run this.
Give us that
country.
percentage one more time. It does not.
So, okay, so it's 27% does and 72% does not.
2%. Okay.
And you still think Biden's going to get in office with those numbers?
Listen, I think anybody who's going to sit here and have a conversation about this and try to imply that they are being intellectually honest with themselves, how do you look at that performance? How do you look at these poll numbers? How do you look at how Jill Biden performed the next day in her little, maybe you don't get baby to go in a boy, you got such a good little boy. How do you look at that, all of that stuff occurring? And then watch him go out on stage the way he behaved at that. Listen, different man was up there speaking the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely, unequivocally. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean it was a fake Joe Biden. No. That was Joe Biden. Here's my point.
That was a caffeinated and well practiced.
That was no. In the morning, it wasn't well practiced. No. Caffeinated, yet he was reading off a teleprompter.
Well, that's as practiced as you can get in that short of a window.
Yes, but he was well practiced the night before.
Yeah, but
very
he was
well
tired
practiced
and at a Red Bull.
So that's my point. Tired.
Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah. No, he looks perpetually
Apparently,
tired.
his staff has been hiding it from the general public that he doesn't get out of bed before, or doesn't get up and get moving until 10 a.m. And by 4, he's hard pressed to do anything else the rest of the day. Folks, that's indicative of some things. So if you're going to have an honest intellectual conversation about this, you have to ask yourself. And remember, in 2016, the Democratic Party ran that commercial on behalf of Hillary Clinton. Never forget that commercial, folks. It's 3 a.m. and the phone rings. Yeah. Remember that commercial? Yeah. Who do you want answering the phone?
Yeah.
The guy who's only able to partially do his job from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
I don't mind a 6-hour workday.
I don't disagree with you on that, Tom, but I think we need a little bit more out of the president of the United States.
I agree with
the
that
guy
too.
who's carrying around the nuclear football, the guy who is asked to make life and death decisions on a regular basis. I don't think and I don't have a problem if the Dems want to replace him. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me with who they want to replace him. Like Gavin Newsom kind of scares me because I think he could win.
I don't
but
think he can beat Trump.
But nonetheless,
I was reading an article polling. He can't beat Trump polling.
I did hear those poll numbers.
Yeah.
I don't put a lot of stock in poll numbers. I really don't. I just we've seen too many times the last few years when poll numbers really steered us wrong. But I don't think there's any getting away from a rational person looking at Joe Biden's performance, looking at in totality everything we've seen from the president. Let's even say over the last 6 months. If you are an intelligent person, you're paying attention and you're watching everything that's gone on. I do not think that a rational, reasonable person can look at him and say he can do another 4 years. I would go so far as to say a rational, reasonable person may look at him and say, I'm not sure if he should keep going.
I don't know if he can make it to the end of this term.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a reasonable conversation to be having.
Yep.
So anybody that comes out and is like, last night on TikTok for like an hour and a half, I was listening to this young kid and he was like 20 years old and he put this thing up. Trump's a convicted felon. Why would you vote for him? And he was having people come on and talk about this stuff. And he was delusional. 100% abso-freaking-lutely delusional. He literally espoused every talking point that we hear from the left about why Joe Biden not only should stay there, but is going to win. And listen, that's fine to have that opinion, but you got to have it. Your stuff's got to be based in reality. Go ahead, Lori.
You know where they're coming from, right?
Do I know where they are coming from? Who is they?
Those TikTokers.
No, I don't actually.
They're paid by the White House.
Okay, so
Or the DNC.
I have heard that stuff, but I don't know how to recognize. If you do, let me know, because
I'll send you receipts.
yeah,
Mhm.
because I don't know how to recognize these people that are being like what I am, and like I am not a TikTok person at all. My kids introduced me to it a little bit, and I was curious because of these bills where they wanted to ban it. And actually, I was very much against that. Even though it's Republicans and conservatives pushing for it, I'm still like, I'm not for that. I don't think in a republic that is and that's based on capitalism should be banning any business. I digress. Point is, I wanted to learn about it. And so I go on there. Apparently, they have these things called challenges where they challenge each other. And the big one running right now is challenges between Donald Trump supporters and Joe Biden supporters. And I saw 10, 11 yesterday where the Trump people won by a lot. And I saw one where Biden won by a little bit. And I was like, wow. And this is all like a younger generation. So, and I guess what they do is you win by getting people that support, because these guys are, and listen, these guys are idiots, all of them, right? The one guy, the Trump guy's like, oh, go vote for Trump because you know he's the dude for the job. He's the smartest man, blah, 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 blah. The other guy's going, you're full of it, man. You don't know nothing, man. It's like watching Cheech and Chong. It's that stupid. And so they were literally making no points about anything.
Right.
But their peers were donating like 75 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents, because they would buy these tokens. And I guess that's the way TikTok makes money. And then part of that money goes to them. Right. So they buy these tokens, and the tokens are being given to these guys. And that's how you have to get more tokens donated to you. And that's how you win these challenges. Right. And almost every one of them was Donald Trump winning. And I was like, well, this is fascinating. Is this indicative of the fact that the younger generation is coming around? And if so, why? So then I started looking for the reasons that were being discussed, right? What is it that they're saying are the issues and almost to a person, the Donald Trump supporters, the reasons they were talking about voting for Donald Trump was, strangely enough, it was about the economy.
What, you mean common sense?
Well, common sense, yes, but it is something that, let's face it, it escapes that younger generation. Like, they've grown up with $4 a gallon of gas, right? So to them, it's normal. To me, I'm like, WTF, man.
Yeah, but when their Hot Pockets doubled in cost, that made a statement.
That is so dope, dude.
They're
Hot Pockets.
They're Hot Pockets.
Their Hot Pockets and their pizza rolls doubled in cost. Yeah, now they're taking note.
I cannot disagree with you.
When they,
it's not going to matter. Listen, when we come to November, as I said before, Paul didn't hear this, so I'll say it again.
You don't have to. I know what you're going to say.
When we come into November, Republicans are going to vote for Trump, or they're just not going to vote.
I think
Democrats are going to vote for Biden ad nauseum because it's not a vote for Biden. It's a vote against Trump. And that's why Biden will win.
I think we're going to see kind of record turnouts for voting this cycle. I don't know that the idea of people sitting on their hands, it doesn't matter what party. I don't think anyone's going to sit on their hands this time around.
I think you're right, which is exactly the reason why I think Trump wins. And it's not going to be necessarily because he gets more votes than Biden. It's for one very simple reason, which Todd, where did Todd come from? Tom, this very reason should give you, I mean, you should walk with a limp right out this door celebrating, dude. You should be walking with a heart on right down that hallway, because it is going to be Kennedy and the other third-party candidates that will siphon off the votes from Joe Biden that I think will give Trump he's going to edge out a victory.
I think RFK is going to be an impact on this election. I don't know that it's going to be all the other parties, but I think RFK, he's got enough he has enough name
he's
recognition.
Polling at 11%.
Yeah.
That's monstrous, man. Nobody's pulled that high since Ross Perot.
But he won't. Do you think it'll be that high come November? Because I think come November, it's down to like 2-3%.
That you're going to see. I think you're going to see the Libertarian ticket at 2 or 3%. I think you're going to see the Green Party and the Forward Party and all that at 2 or 3% also.
I refer to them as the we owe tax dollars, so we're running for president in order to remove that bill.
Sure.
Kind of people.
But I think we're going to see RFK at 10.
So I think Tom is really on about this. And you brought up a comment a while ago about how third party you felt was going to finally be heard this year.
Yeah,
it's not going to do anything, but it's going to be heard.
Yes.
And I think that there are a lot of damn people out there that are going, I'm not voting for these two old white guys.
I think there's a lot of people out there
who are you
going,
gonna vote for then?
I'm not voting for this geriatric guy who is after pancakes and ice cream, and I'm not voting for this toxic human being either. That's where RFK comes in.
Make no mistake, Trump is toxic.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a horrible personality. His policies aren't terrible, as far as the fiscal stuff goes, but he's not a statesman. He's not what people want representing their country.
He is a statesman in the Aaron Burr kind of way.
Okay.
In the bad way, then. Yeah, okay, the bad way. Yeah.
Okay.
As in, if he don't like you, he's just going to shoot, baby, and they're going to make a song about him, and he's going to be in a musical in 20 years. Sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry,
No,
okay?
Listen. Just further goes on to exemplify the fact that Alexander Hamilton's the greatest founding father in this nation's history.
He wasn't a founding father.
Yes, he was.
No,
Yeah, he was pretty founding.
Yeah, no, he was not a founding father.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
he was.
I will go to the mattresses.
I'm not
on
saying
you
he was a father, but he's pretty founding.
Hold on.
Well,
how
he was a
not
father quite a
founding
few times
father?
over, right? If what I understood was correct.
How was he not a founding father?
How was he? You tell me how he was I'm the one saying he wasn't a founding father.
He built
Was
the
he there at
nation.
the Continental Congress?
Yes.
Where?
He spoke at the Continental Congress.
Don't know him. Never heard of him.
He's responsible for the financial
Didn't see him
system
in
of this
John
country,
Adams.
the banks. He started the
HBO
Coast Guard.
miniseries. John Adams. Didn't
So
see him.
back to what Paul said. So you think
Yes.
Trump will be in a musical? And I'm just curious, what black man's going to represent him, play his character?
I can tell you, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith.
And this is dead air.
In
Yeah, but
1788,
it's damn fine dead air.
in 1788, Hamilton was reappointed to a delegate to the Continental Congress of New York. After ratifying the convention in June, he became the chief champion
What
of the
year?
Constitution. 1788. And against strong opposition, won approval.
What year
for it.
was the Declaration of Independence?
1776.
Just checking.
How many Continental Congresses were there, Paul? Do you remember?
4.
Yeah, thank you. There was more than one.
Yeah.
He was at the.
When
the
did they
one-
sign the Declaration of Independence?
1776.
That's
But
right.
that was not the Continental Congress.
And just for fun, Paul.
The Continental Congress was to fix a whole bunch of the questions that were laid out by the Declaration of Independence.
Pardon me. The folks that did the Continental Congress and declared war and did all this stuff, and they gave us our country, founding fathers. Now, as far as I know, your boy was absent without leave. Now you can double check that.
He
double check it.
He led in the battle. What are you talking about?
He may have been in the battle, and that's
he
totally
led
cool.
units in the
Yes.
Battle of Yorktown.
Yes, were all those soldiers founding fathers?
He was.
Is that where we're going now?
So,
Oh my
so
God!
Paul-
I
that
have
where we're
never
going?
disagree with anything you've ever said more.
So Paul, who was the first president of our country?
The first president of our country. Yeah. It was one of the members of the Continental Congress, and I don't remember his name. Unfortunately, I don't claim to be any kind of expert on that stuff like Kevin. I enjoy the history. I do, but I don't remember all of their names and stuff. I just somehow remember that your boy was out fighting in the war for independence and not per se signing his name on stuff that got him a death warrant from the King of England. Am I misremembering that?
My boy, by the way, was George Washington's right-hand man.
Yeah, I do. I believe that.
And
But George Washington, technically, I don't think was a founding father either.
George Washington was not a founding father.
Yeah, no. I mean,
you are out of your ever-loving
yeah,
mind.
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God. Okay, Paul has just lost the ability to be on this show again. Founding father of the United States.
God dang it, Lori. Go sit in the corner. Wait, what website was that?
Mount Vernon.
Was that Wikipedia?
No, MountVernon.org, which is the website about George Washington's Mount
Distillery.
Vernon. Well, yeah, where he lived. But it also says Alexander Hamilton was a founding father of the United States who fought in the American Revolution, helped draft the Constitution, wrote the Federalist Papers, which is responsible for getting passed, you
Listen, ladies.
historical moron.
This is why he's still single. Because
Outlaw
it's too
Radio.
easy to get
Paul
him
doesn't need
riled
to talk
up.
anymore. We're
You
back
should
after
see his
this.
panties. They're in a bunch right behind a chair. Made the brownies.
All right, comments in chat. Here we go. J. Kennedy, who was the last statesman? Think about Teddy Roosevelt, complete badass and hated by many. Definitely not a statesman, but we had federally protected land from him. Not popular at the time, but huge now.
I agree with him.
Yeah,
for sure. Teddy Roosevelt was a badass.
I mean, Obama was a statesman.
You know what? I think you are correct about that.
Yeah.
I
He
mean,
was well spoken.
I mean, well, and listen, let's be honest, dude. Anybody that would bow before the Queen, that's got balls. That takes balls, man.
Reagan, statesman?
Yes.
Statesman?
Yes.
No.
Reagan was an amazing orator.
Yep.
I don't.
Reagan would rather kick people's ass and get along with it.
I think here's where I would maybe say Reagan was a statesman. He was a statesman in the fact that he trusted no one, he verified everything, and he carried a real big shtick. Yeah. Right, and he wasn't afraid to use it. I mean, look at what happened to the French when we bombed Libya, for example. The French said, no, you can't fly over France when you send in your strike mission because the planes were flying out of England.
Mm-hmm.
And mysteriously, 2 bombs ended up in the French embassy. If you were a Frenchman,
yeah. Reagan
don't say
wasn't
no
a
to
statesman,
Reagan.
no. Reagan wasn't a statesman. Reagan didn't care much for diplomacy. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew what he thought was right, and he was going to do it. And like you
Although
just
he
said,
did say, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, and dude did it.
Well,
he did it.
They were on their way that way before he said it. Phil?
I was going to say, so Holly seems to think we've fallen off a cliff. So just a reminder, the phone number is on the screen, 360-874-1400. Bring us off the cliff. Call in.
No, we're going to talk about...
Push us right off, darling.
We're going to talk about all the decisions that
Yes.
have come out of the Supreme Court.
Because
here
they
this
are
year, because
really
they're
important
pretty
to talk about.
massive. But sometimes we talk about fun stuff too, Holly. I know that your life is nothing but seriousness and no funniness, but that's not who we are. Back after this.
Well, I mean, at least not all.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
Outlaw Radio. K-Dog, St. Paul, Black Tom, Lori, the CEO, Bob Ross running the boards. Dennis is at home violently vomiting out of his ass.
What?
Yeah, he's homesick.
Okay, we can stop with that next time rather than the visual, brother.
No, I was just told in chat that we don't talk about the pressing matters at all. So I didn't want to sugarcoat the news.
The problem was there was no pressing. It was just.
Oh.
You know you're in tough shape when you go to fart and all you hear is. So new polling data came out.
Damn.
By Atlas Intel, who has tended to do some very accurate polling in the last 2 years. 1,634 was their sample size. They have Trump leading Biden by 5.2. That's post debate.
Post debate.
Yeah. So and by the way, on that, they had Cornel West at 0.7%. Mr. I don't owe money in taxes. You owe me reparations. They got Jill Plants Have Feelings Stein and then Robert Kennedy sitting at 10.3%. Listen, I'm not saying that those numbers will carry through. I'm not saying that at all. But if they do, Biden's got no shot because Kennedy will siphon a few off of Trump, like maybe 2% or so. But he's going to siphon the entire rest of that off of Joe Biden. And so, look, I actually really appreciate where you are coming from on how you feel about Joe Biden. And I think that there's absolutely something to what you're saying. But even though I don't put much stock in polls, and I don't in these either, right? Because I think that a poll data is just simply a snapshot at that hour of that day. And I've never really felt comfortable with, 1,500 or 2,000 people accurately representing the country as a whole. But other people pay a lot of money for believing that. So it is what it is. And when in Rome, right?
When in Rome.
So again, if these numbers are accurate, and I'm going to say this to any Democrat that's listening right now, you got nothing to lose. If you want a shot at winning based on these kinds of numbers, you need to remove Joe Biden. President Biden. Sorry. Apologies. That was very Rude of me.
Not going to happen. I mean, I agree with you.
It may
but
not,
it's not going to happen.
But you like to speak. You speak about things, Kevin, in absolutes.
Yes, because I know what's going to happen.
Which is why you lose credibility. I love
which
you.
is why I said Mike Leach was going to Nebraska.
Yeah. Old joke, folks. Just do a Google search. I can't operate in absolutes. I just can't. But I think the world is there's too much flux going on. And right now there's a lot more flux than normal. So yeah, I mean it is what it is. You don't like, are you going to look at the people out there looking on the screen up there? You're going to look at them and say 100% guaranteed Joe Biden will not only still be on the ballot, but Joe Biden will win in November.
95%. That's how sure I am.
Well, now you're not so quite.
No,
you've said sure. You
95%. I mean,
Okay.
that's pretty freaking
pretty
sure.
damn sure.
That's pretty damn sure.
Not on a DNA test.
So you're saying 5% chance he's dead and we have President
5%
Harris.
chance he's not on the ballot. I'm 100% sure if he's on the ballot, he wins.
Really?
Yeah. Listen.
Huh.
Again, for the
Here comes the
87,000th
justification.
time,
Yes.
people will vote for him not because they like him or want him, but because they're voting against Trump. And that hatred for Trump, as much as you guys want to poo-poo Trump derangement syndrome, that hatred of Trump is a big deal.
It is a motivation.
And it's not going to impact conservatives.
Nobody here has disagreed with you on that.
It's not going to impact conservatives, but it's going to motivate the base for the Democrats. That's why they won when Biden ran, is because they were more motivated to vote than
That's
Trump's
debatable.
people were.
I watched
Trump's people were kind of sick of him.
Whatever it was.
I'm just saying Trump's people were kind of sick of him.
What was the number of people that turned out to vote in 2020?
Let me find out for you.
You mean the total voting public that showed up?
Yeah,
and voted?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In 2020, 81 million and 74 million, so 156 million, 155 million, something
So
like that.
About half.
155 million people. In 2024,
You're talking about half of the population?
Yeah.
Well, you can't really categorize that half the population, right?
No,
because
I mean we have people under 18.
Right.
And illegals.
Which is a whole nother topic, right?
We're for the moment, let's just assume the system works and non-citizens are not voting. Just for sake of the conversation.
just to make it easier.
No, look, I don't disagree with you, but I think that that is a huge problem. I understand that some people like Holly will say that didn't happen. And then I remind you that President Barack Obama went on television and gave an interview with Telemundo where he specifically stated, if you are here illegally, I don't remember the exact words, I'm paraphrasing here, but he not only encouraged them to vote, he told them nobody was going to, and I quote, come looking for them.
Your
Now
vote
that
counts. No one's going to know.
So when you're the president of the United States, the head of the Democrat Party, and listen, the Democrats don't shy away from it anymore. They're very open and honest about the fact that they want the illegal immigrants that are here to have the right to vote. And I will continue to use, I heard this good one last night. How dare you? They are people. People. How dare you call them illegal? Well, illegal would be a fucking action.
Yeah, but if I go live in Australia, I don't get to vote in their elections.
No, and if you were there illegally, you'd likely go to jail.
Yeah.
In fact, the United States is one of the few countries in the world where if you cross the border illegally and are caught, you don't end up in incarceration.
Right.
We are like the nicest freaking country on earth. You know how, like in Poland, they have, no joke, man, they have people like walking the freaking border and military personnel that will pick up and throw you back on the other side of the border if you try to come in. The Polish, man, they don't mess around, dude. I'm telling you.
I don't know what to do with you.
They listen to that song. What was the name of that old group? Oh yeah, the band Europe. The song Cherokee. Marching on
Cherokee,
Marching on the Trail of Tears. Like they boomed that song out. I don't know why, but
song.
That's an old song. Damn.
Right?
Hey, really quickly, the Supreme Court just continues to put out
amazing
rulings
votes
that that really upset the apple cart of what we've accepted to be normal.
Oh, I like this most recent ruling.
John Roberts this weekend said that the final decisions will come out on Monday, which includes we should hear tomorrow as we're taping the show. We should hear this tomorrow whether or not Trump's immunity ruling will stand or not. That's probably the most pressing of them.
And I don't think that one's that big of an issue. Quite
You don't think
frankly.
so?
I don't.
I think it could
It's
be.
just my thought though. But
If he's deemed to be immune, then all these legal challenges go away.
Only the federal ones do. That's only about.
You don't think it would overturn any of the
the state stuff
ones?
that he's already dealt with? No, not at all. And so the whole crux of that case is, and look, here's the thing: he and his crew are proceeding as though he will be found to not be immune. Okay, that's how they're proceeding. That's what everybody's assuming. If they come back and they say, "Hey, you know what? You're immune," I don't think that case goes that far, because I think the entire case hinges on one very simple concept. Does the president of the United States have the right or the ability to declassify any piece of information? Now, that is law. So if that's law, I don't think so what are they arguing over? They're arguing over, Jack Smith is claiming you didn't declassify those materials. And he's claiming that based on statements that Donald Trump made to other people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think in court it gets past that issue, because I believe wholeheartedly the president, any president, has the right to declassify anything. That is the way our system is designed to work. So how we suddenly got to a place where the president has these documents, and he supposedly with these documents, and this president suddenly can't make these documents not top secret, is beyond me, especially when you have a man sitting in the White House right now who had a special prosecutor investigate him and very specifically say that he effectively is too old and lacks the ability to be prosecuted because of where he's at mentally, and wasn't a president. Joe Biden never had the authority to declassify that paperwork. He never did. And yet he took the stuff anyway. Not to one location, but to multiple locations. Now, if you're prosecuting or defending on that case, a precedent was set. That's what our law is based on, precedents. And I know there's plenty of people out there that know and understand the law. So you've got to figure out a way to convince me that Trump should be prosecuted for something where he has a much clearer path to not being prosecuted than Joe Biden, who special counsel said, yeah, we're not going to prosecute him for this. Now, yes, there are other pieces of information that go out. That's a very simplified version of that. But I'm just saying that I would have more faith in Donald Trump's attorneys defending him with regards to those allegations than pretty much any of the others, right? Why? First and foremost, he's not going to be tried in freaking New York.
Right.
So, and to me, I'm sorry, there's nobody out there listening to this show right now that can say Donald Trump got a fair trial on anything in New York. You just can't. Again, that's like an African-American getting tried for jaywalking in Alabama in 1950. And anybody is a liar that says, no, that's not true.
Here's one thing I'll say about this whole Trump thing that makes me think that they're going to give him a break. There was a decision that got released Wednesday. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. It didn't get a lot of press, but I'm going to read this to you. This is off of the AP.
Okay.
But this was on Wednesday. The Supreme Court overturned the bribery conviction of a former Indiana mayor on Wednesday, the latest in a series of decisions narrowing the scope of federal public corruption law. The High Court's 6-3 decision along ideological lines found the law criminalizes bribes given before an official act, not rewards handed out after. Here's what Kavanaugh wrote, quote, some gratuities can be problematic. Others are commonplace and might be innocuous. The lines aren't always clear, especially since many state and local officials have other jobs. So I'm gonna make this really simple, and then I'll explain how it ties to Trump.
Okay.
This guy who was the former mayor got a whole bunch of money after steering millions of dollars to a private company.
Okay.
He claimed the money he received was consulting work. He was prosecuted saying the money you got were bribes after the fact for steering all this money to this private company.
Oh,
okay?
I gotcha.
Okay. And so he's saying, no, I got the money after the fact for my consulting work. It's legal. They convicted him. He challenged it. It goes to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court overturned it. this represents an ongoing theme of the Supreme Court to loosen the reins somewhat on holding public representatives, public officials accountable for things that might be borderline illegal. Follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
So they are not, the Supreme Court is not tightening the noose on public officials. They're loosening that and giving a little more wiggle room to them. If that is the theme, then that only benefits Trump. If the idea is we can't assume too much about public officials, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt, then that's going to benefit Trump. And that's why I think tomorrow you're going to see a pretty big win for Trump in the ruling. It may not be a total vindication. They might kick some of it down to a lower court because God knows they do that too much. But I think you're going to see Trump get some kind of a ruling out of this that really benefits him under this idea that the Supreme Court's been operating with lately, which is we're going to ease the restrictions on public officials. We're going to make it harder for you to prosecute them, which again is the ongoing, as they just did on Wednesday. Same 9 judges. And I think it'll be very similar. I think you're going to see Donald Trump taking a victory lap come tomorrow night.
You're going to... Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, I think you'll see him taking a victory lap.
Just not in the election.
Yeah. No, about the Supreme Court stuff. Yeah. All right, Outlaw Radio. More of your comments during the break. We'll see what kind of snarky things are out there. We're back after this. It's Outlaw Radio. That's some good music right there. Crank that up when I'm driving the Jeep with the windows down, the top off. Driving past people trying to be quiet on the way into work in the morning. We're on Facebook only, right? Fuck you, I've got the radio cranked. Shut up, quit whining about it. But it's 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, I'm going to the Southworth boat. Crank that up. So gotta be awake when I go to that walk-on ferry.
So we got Holly here asking if she calls in.
Mm-hmm.
Can I promise blah blah blah? I'm like, I don't know how, but if she calls in, can we do whatever it is?
I don't know.
Finally call in.
What did she ask us to promise?
Talk about last week's SCOTUS bombshells, which I think there's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah,
or I mean, it depends on what you call a bombshell.
Well, I don't know. It feels like you know how they're running the Supreme Court. They're running the Supreme Court like a network TV show. They're just building up. They're building up to the finale, and the finale is Trump's ruling tomorrow.
I got 7 cases here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to read.
And it's a bunch. You know, Holly, I'd love you to call in and give your thoughts on that. Now, we might, you know, if you're talking, we might interrupt to ask questions or to clarify or whatever. I can't guarantee we're not going to interrupt it. You know, it's radio. But no, I would love to hear what you have to say about it. I can't. Arguing the Supreme Court cases, I'm not going to do. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a constitutional scholar, but I'm not a lawyer. I have my opinions. But when it comes right down to it, those are 9 of the most experienced, educated, legally trained people. Clearly, they've got their agendas. I'm not debating that they don't.
Yeah, they do.
But I am not enough to challenge that too much. Outlaw Radio, hold on.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
Outlaw Radio. Holly corrected one thing I said. Not the same 9 judges, Kevin. 6 judges with all 3 liberals dissenting. No, but what I meant when I said all 9 judges, it's the same judges. It's the same judge panel. We're not going to get a different ruling tomorrow than we got on the Wednesday ruling about that small hick town mayor who with bribery, right? We still have the same 9 judges on the court. And the 3 liberals are probably going to dissent on giving Trump any clearance. And I suspect the 6 conservatives are going to have some varying degree of giving Trump some room. So when I say the same 9 judges, I don't mean that the same 9 judges all voted the same way. I mean your decisional demographic is not going to change.
Yeah, I suspect, what's her name? Barrett, Kavanaugh, Roberts. They're kind of your establishment guys. We're going to see they're going to be the decider.
Well, Amy Coney Barrett has not done all of her rulings with the conservative
No,
majority.
because he's not conservative.
Yeah.
And I think John Roberts is still a bit of a wild card too.
Yeah, they're
We've
not
seen him
conservative.
Yeah. I to your point, Phil, I'm very well aware that the system needs some stuff to be overhauled, but I
Mhm.
still have a lot of faith in our Supreme Court, and I always have. I don't need to agree with them on every ruling, because these rulings have so much nuance,
Mhm.
and there's so much that laypersons we don't get and we don't understand, right? The Supreme Court is one of those rare instances when I have to put some faith in their expertise in the law. Now the one thing that does bother me is when you hear, like, I believe it was Elaine Kagan who came out and basically lambasted the other members of the court, and they do it along political lines, right? I'm a firm believer that the court should do everything it can to maintain the dignity of the court,
Mhm.
and not bash on other members of the court based on their political beliefs. I don't think there's any place for that, and I expect more of my Supreme Court justice. Now, somebody asked, I think it was on this show last week, about how I felt about the implementation of oversight for the judges. And my response was, I wish I didn't have to say they need it, but apparently there does need to be some oversight, because it sounds like some of them have taken some liberties that should not have occurred.
I think there needs to be at least some
kind of oversight.
An outline of a code of ethics or something.
And from what I understand, there really hasn't been, and it's been up to
No.
them to self-regulate. And apparently that has not all worked the way people on the outside would like it to.
Well, I think 100 years ago, there was still a little bit more, I guess, respect for the Supreme Court.
Respect, honor, and dignity were real things that people cared about.
Dignity and honor are kind of dead now.
Yeah.
It's just testing. The ringer still works. Just wait for Holly.
Or you're just checking? Okay.
Yep, just checking, just in case.
Anyway,
So, and I do think a code of ethics is probably something that should be at least implemented.
Yeah,
and
I'm
hopefully
there.
never used.
Yeah, I'm there with you. And for me, the reason is because I don't like watching Supreme Court justices get brutalized because their wife flew a flag upside down, or the claim is made that this justice's wife is a political activist, stuff like that. These justices should know more than anybody else in the world what it takes to maintain an image of impartiality. And as soon as that begins to become muddled, it needs to be addressed. And I'm not saying they were right or wrong or anything else, but it's muddled now. And so it needs to be addressed.
I mean, just scanning through Fisher v. U.S., I mean, it was a 6-3, and on the 3 was Barrett, Sotomayor, and Kagan.
Yeah.
Like it was not liberals it was not down the normal party line.
Yeah, you had basically one-on-one switch sides on that one.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the Chevron one that was overturned?
Yes. I just firmly supported that decision. Thank God they finally dealt with that. And
so let me read this so the people who may be at home that don't. And it sounds like a very
nuanced case.
It sounds like a very small case, but it can get into some pretty choppy.
And I will happily provide some information as to why. Yes.
Let me read this. This is off of CNN because again, CNN is right about everything. The Supreme Court on Friday significantly weakened the power of the federal agencies to approve regulations in a major decision that could have sweeping implications for environmental, public health, and the workplace. In a 6-3 ruling, again, ideological lines, overturning a precedent from 1984, it'll shift the balance of power between the executive and judicial branches and hands an important victory to conservatives who had thought for years to rein in the regulatory authority of the administrative state. The lawsuits were filed by two groups of herring fishermen challenging a Commerce Department regulation requiring them to pay the salaries of government observers who board their vessels to monitor the catch. You follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the Fed sent someone to monitor the catch, and the people that run the boats, the fishing operations, had to pay for the federal employees.
They're basically being forced to pay to be
for their own police,
for their own oversight. Yeah.
However, according to this article, at least, the decision will net a far wider swath of federal regulations affecting many facets of American life. The decision overturns the Chevron versus Natural Resources Defense Council precedent that required courts to give deference to federal agencies when creating regulations based on ambiguous law. Congress routinely enacts open-ended laws that give latitude to agencies to work out and adjust the details to new circumstances. Here's what Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in his majority opinion. Chevron is overruled. Courts must exercise their independent judgment in deciding whether an agency has acted within its statutory authority. Neil Gorsuch wrote, a grave anomaly when viewed against the sweep of historic judicial practice. So again, and this is where it becomes a big deal. Now, Paul, I want you to expound. Congress writes a bill to fund an agency. And in that funding, it says this agency needs to accomplish X, Y, and Z. But Congress does not lay out specifics of how to accomplish X, Y, and Z. They then kick the budget with those requirements down to the federal agency, and the federal agency is tasked with how to make X, Y, and Z happen. The agency then acts in a way that it thinks is best, but it's not really acting under any any congressional authority to do the programs. They're just putting the programs in place to get to where they've been ordered to get to. Am I explaining it correctly, Paul, as you understand it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're giving bureaucracy the power to write their own rules.
Correct. Now, I will say, before anybody brings up Obamacare does not fit under this.
No.
Obamacare was very specifically written to give the IRS authority and to implement the program and how to handle that. So not saying Obamacare is good or bad, right or wrong, but Obamacare was written specifically the way it was implemented. Normally, the way that Congress works is they write a bill to fund an agency and accomplish X, Y, and Z, and then they tell the agency, you guys figure out how to make it happen. And that's the rub, right? Now again, PACT Act with the VA, another bill that doesn't fit into this. PACT Act, very specifically written.
Yeah, if I remember right, I've heard it said it was the issue they're able to basically make their own the rules that are being followed because they were given, you need to do this, but they also were like also the judges about things. They're making decisions about things. There was no court.
Yeah.
They're basically usurping
due process,
legislative, and
due process gets wiped out. Appeal processes get wiped out. I mean, you're basically asking the agency that implemented its own rules to then rule on its own rules in an appeal.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong, Paul?
Less federal bureaucracy, less power to the bureaucrats. These are good things.
Yes. Smaller government.
Smaller government. That's my opinion. I think it's probably Tom's opinion.
Yep.
I will give a great example. A friend of mine who's a cattle rancher. Okay. He had this big open patch of land. It was about 10 acres. And what he did was he would rotate his cattle from one pasture to the next. Okay. He had about 20 cattle, and the 20 cattle would be rotated from 10 acres to 10 acres to 10 acres. At 40 acres. Okay. And on each one of those 10-acre parcels, he took his bobcat out there and he sloped the ground so that in approximately the middle area of each of the 10 acres, the ground sloped gently towards it to collect rainwater.
Towards the center.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. He did it all on his own. And before he knew it, his first year out there, he had the federal government breathing down his neck, threatening to fine him if he didn't get his cattle off of those areas because of wetlands. He's like, it's not wetlands. I sloped the ground so the water would collect there. I'm trying to raise my cattle and raise them effectively, be good stewards of the land, and move them from section to section, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. This isn't a hard thing to understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
He ended up in a 10-year fight that cost him $1 million. Why? Because they would not give up on him doing what he felt he needed to do in order to make sure that his cattle had proper food and water.
It's his land and his cattle.
But yet he was not allowed to use his dozer in a way that allowed water to pool in the center of the property in each 10 acres so that they could effectively graze and drink off of his property, right? He would even go out there and fill the areas up with water during hotter periods. So, and again, this is the kind of overbearing crap that the federal government has been doing for years. In fact, if you go back and look, you will find at the Mahler Wildlife Refuge, the takeover that occurred by the Bundy family and others, where Lavoy Finicum was killed. That issue started over a family protecting their grazing grounds by doing what was called a backburn. During fire season, they did a small backburn, and they got fined for it and then imprisoned for it, for burning grass on their property to help prevent larger damage being acquired as a result of a naturally occurring forest fire. This is the world that we have now. We have given our federal government far too much power. Far too much power.
Giving our state governments too much power.
And I'm willing to bet, and you know, strangely though, that's a different issue, right? To me, and I think that is an issue worth discussing. I am all for state sovereignty. Right? Because those are things local lawmakers that we elect can work on and fix whatever. It's much easier to fix those state laws and rules, right, than it is to do anything against the federal government.
Right.
So
we still have to rein in the state
do,
government.
absolutely 100%. But those are fights we can have, right? As you, the small business owner, as me, the small business owner, as the accountant sitting across from us, maybe not the VA guy, but we could fix those things. I just mean because you can't get involved with stuff like that. The Hatch Act. Okay. So the point still remains, though. We have to do whatever we have to do to reel in. The federal government was not created to control every aspect of our lives.
No. It's supposed to be very minimal.
Correct. I still don't understand why I have to go buy a fishing license for me and my son to go fishing in the river that goes through my property. Why do I have to get a license to drive a car and then carry insurance on it when my taxes have already paid for that road and I've already paid for the car? Like, the excuse is always, oh, well, you got to have, financial responsibility, right? Well, you could sue me. So my responsibility is intact.
I will concede and hear me, the libertarian, I will concede a small amount of money every year just for road maintenance.
Sure.
But
you're right. Yep.
What do we have during
We'll have a road
COVID?
maintenance fee on our easements, right? On our properties.
Yeah. But what do we have during COVID? Like a $2 billion surplus? Yeah, our roads
in the
are
state
still
of Washington,
crap.
yeah.
Oh, is it $4 billion?
All right, hold on. Outlaw Radio. We're going to the top of the hour.
Tom,
Stay tuned.
you're going to clean that up over there.
Outlaw Radio back after this. Oh, we're back on the
So the guys on stage, and I sent this just for you, Kevin.
Okay.
Because I knew you of all people would appreciate it. And I would love for Phil to play it for a couple of seconds because it's damn funny.
What ruined my carpet?
About what ruined my carpet. Yes. Yes. In fact, Phil, can you pull that up and play that real quick?
What's that? Rutledge. I can't remember his last name.
Yeah.
He just did a show at Dog Days Brewing in Bremerton.
Did he
It
really?
was awesome. It was so good.
So, by the way, one of the things that we talked about the Chevron rule.
Yes.
One of the things that they're talking about might really be in jeopardy is net neutrality, because net neutrality was never specifically designed by congressional restraints. It was.
I just sent it again to you, Phil.
It was kind of loosely applied and done. So, again, that's something that they're. Oh,
I don't have access to your link, so you can help me find it on YouTube, or we don't have it.
Wait.
Oh,
it's
in their chat room.
Great.
No,
Chat's here. Computer.
Yeah,
here.
he needs to go to
Different
him.
worlds.
But don't be snippy now. Relax. We're all family here. Don't make me. Let's all have a circle jerk.
It feels just like family.
Yeah. So we'll figure it out in a second. So the net neutrality is a big one. There's another one that the Trump. Does anybody not think that Trump gets off tomorrow?
I mean, I suppose that depends.
I mean, given
how much...
given the trend of the Supreme Court and how they again, I'm not advocating one way or the other. I don't.
I think it depends on a couple of things, because your direct question was, does Trump get off tomorrow? It depends on where Melania is and where the nearest porn star is.
So I think
Do you believe
I think the Stormy Daniels ship has sailed.
Do you believe he had sex with her, Paul? Honestly, because
look, it's a double-edged sword.
A lot of
right?
Republicans are saying he didn't. Donald Trump said in an interview, they interviewed him after the debate.
He said in the debate that he didn't have sex with her, but
let's be honest. Do you think he did?
Yep, the ringer still works.
Yeah,
we're still waiting, Holly.
Yeah, I do believe that he did.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't. I just don't. Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, apparently, people on the left.
Hold on.
Who
Here's why.
cares?
Because
It's
here's why it meant.
it has nothing to do with politics.
But
or
it does.
policy.
I agree. But it does.
Who cares?
It does.
Why?
In the sense that we would like to believe, even if we're stupid, we'd like to believe that our politicians are honest.
Wait, what?
Same thing with Bill Clinton.
What
We'd like
rainbow
to
and unicorn world do you live in?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the American population. We want to believe. I don't care. I know Bill Clinton didn't just get his cigar taken care of, right? Like I know that there's more to it than that. I know.
I mean, Monica Lewinsky's the original Hawk-Tua girl. I mean,
did you hear what I said earlier, Paul? If she don't Hawk-Tua, I don't want to talk to her.
wah, wah, wah.
I like that shirt. That was a cute shirt. Listen,
Yeah,
I'm just saying people want to believe that, so it does matter. We want to believe that our elected officials have integrity.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back before.
I don't know anybody that wants to believe that.
We want to
Yeah,
believe
and
those
we can
on
go back
our
before
team.
Clinton and Lewinsky. I mean, hell, we can go back to Monroe and Kennedy. You know, who cares?
Because
We can go back to Thomas Jefferson and George Washington.
If you're not,
They were slave owners.
would you act? Would you elect somebody you thought had no integrity?
Really?
I'm asking Tom, not you.
Oh, okay.
Would you elect somebody that you thought had no integrity?
What? I don't believe we have any politicians with integrity.
None.
So
you don't think Jesse Young has integrity?
I'm talking federal.
Oh, federal.
I mean, this is where this conversation is.
I think we have some federal people that have integrity.
I don't
they don't
trust-
last very long.
I don't think we have.
Steve Largent had integrity. He didn't last very long.
And that's why I don't think we have any politicians with integrity, because the ones that do get weeded out pretty fast.
Yeah, they
so
get burned
all I
out.
want to know
Yeah.
is what their voting record is. I want to know what their
You think Michelle
policy-
Caldier has integrity?
I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
We're
We're still on Facebook only, right? Fuck no. Anyway.
So no, I mean on the federal stage, I don't care, because I don't think any of them do. So I just want to know their voting record, and I want to know what their policy is, and if they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And that's about as far as integrity is going to get when it comes to a federal politician. If they say they're going to do something and they do it, great. And if they don't, then vote them out.
Yeah. All right. I don't disagree with you, but I think it does open up the opportunity for blackmail and leverage politically, both foreign and domestic. I think that all of that is a risk. Hold on, we'll come back on AM Outlaw Radio.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's all right.
Oh, Paul's Ball for all. I didn't forget about you, you little bastards.
And a bunch of a-holes.
What kind of feeling?
Rumor has it that they're cavorting around with our good buddy Ace Haynes.
Yeah, well,
would it be nice to say hi to Ace again?
Wouldn't it be? Ace, we'd love for you to call the show sometime so we can not answer your call.
Now, Kevin, that would not be appropriate.
No,
In fact,
we'll answer his
that
call.
would be a federal violation, according to Ace Haynes, because we would be deliberately not allowing him airtime.
We offered him airtime, but because we wouldn't let him in studio, he wouldn't come in, Phil.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I have no caller ID, so I don't know whether it's Holly or Ace.
Maybe they're the same person. Have you ever seen them in the same place at the same time?
I'm Batman.
Well, I did see Ace when he was out in Seebeck cajoling around and making his threats against April Turd Ferguson.
Yeah. Do you think
That
we
dude
could
needs
get,
help, man.
Do you think we
He
could
needs
get
help.
Bob Ferguson and April Ferguson into a cage to see who can fight to win to keep the title of Turd Ferguson? Who would win? We would win. We would all win.
Could we set it up to be like an American Gladiators thing?
And I'm
Could have
thinking
been
like
some-
Kumite. That's what I'm thinking. Kumite Bloodsport.
Oh, you want
Her secret attack move is raising her armpit. Smell this. I'm going to sue you.
I'm just imagining Ace Haynes like Powdered Toast Man, from the old Ren and Stimpy show. He flew through the air backwards, picked up his enemies in his butt cheeks, and threw them to the ground. Yeah. Tom, I think you're being back in. I think
I'm being.
Oh, Lori, Phil needs your assistance with something. Anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, anyway.
It's amazing that Ace is still welcome in anybody's political circles.
I when we got reached out to, it was like, hey man, you should do an expose on this guy Ace Haynes. I'm like,
we did.
Let me tell you.
Did I read that in the chat right up there?
What
Ace has been on the jail roster here and there, probably.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. I will full disclosure.
I don't know anything.
This is
about
our
him.
opinion. We don't know that yes or no, but we wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised.
I don't know anything about him. so.
Years ago, before we had our blow up with April Ferguson, I don't even call it our blow up. I mean, it was just when we reported the facts.
And she threatened to sue us.
Yeah. Before that, we had a blow up with this character Ace Haynes because I was at an event where he threatened April Ferguson or something to that extent. And then April, I was in communication with April, and she was telling me that she went to the county and she was filing charges against him. So I basically let him know. I'm like, hey, just so you know, dude, she's gonna file against you, like, and I think it was a no contact order or something.
And she got it.
And I was just being polite and letting him know because I didn't know him from Adam at the time. And I don't even remember what happened, but dude starts all of a sudden busting my balls about stuff. And if you're going to push me, if you're going to smack me, I'm going to smack you back.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, I'm not taking this from you, you punk ass bitch. And so then he crossed the line, right? Like that little schmarmy reached out to my wife and told my wife that I was a suicidal veteran. And my wife was sitting right next to me on the couch, and she was like, "The hell is this dude? What is this?" And I'm like, let me get this straight, right? I tried to help this dude out and let him know, because at the time I wasn't too keen on April, but I'm like, but she's claiming that he threatened her, so I let him know, right? And I'm like, and this is, oh my god, that he basically started reaching out to my wife, trying to undermine and undercut me in our marriage, and say that I was a psych trip job and that I was a suicidal veteran and all this other stuff. My wife was like, this dude's nuts. Yes, he was.
That's out of line.
Oh, it was way out of line. So, and then he started calling and getting into it with Kevin. Well, not calling, but messaging and getting into Kevin. He was demanding that we give him equal airtime to the other people running for office. And Kevin was basically like, you're nuts, dude. Like, nobody here feels safe with you coming into the studio. So we'll give you time, but you're going to call. You can call on the phone. And he was like, no, I demand airtime. And then he's like, he brought up some act, some law from the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're like telling him, yeah, that doesn't apply here, dude. Doesn't apply at all. It's like not even close. Like, what are you talking about? And
what amazes me is that he's being embraced by the left now. Because if you guys remember, go back when he ran before, he was a Republican.
He still is.
Right. But
supposedly.
But now he's getting along with a whole bunch of far left Dems, which is fine. But it just amazes me that a guy who bullied, who verbally assaulted, who threatened, who so terrified April Ferguson, whom we're not a fan of, by the way, but he was so out of kilter to her that they had to issue a no contact order. And you guys on the left want to ignore that and buddy up with him.
In fact, I think
so
what
he
started
can
all that was
bully,
him stealing signs.
Yeah,
if I recall,
he can bully and harass and accost a woman, and you're okay with that? That's the kind of guy you want to partner up with in your party with? Like, okay, more power to you if that's what you want to do. But boy, he is, in my opinion, man, that dude is 3 eggs short of a dozen. 3 eggs short of a dozen, man. He's not even like, if you vote for him, You're either voting because the name sounds cool. Like I've always wanted to vote for somebody named Ace.
What's he running for?
I think he's running for something in the 23rd. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting. So I, my son had just sent me this from over at Poland. There's a story about it on the Drudge Report. Military bases, United States military bases in Europe have been placed on basically condition Charlie. Applies when an incident occurs or intelligence is received indicating some form of terrorist action or targeting against personnel or of facilities is likely. Atlas News is reporting several American military installations in Europe have had their force protection condition, that's FPCON, raised to Charlie, meaning that intelligence is received, like I just read. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson, citing a U.S. defense official, reported that there is credible intel pointing to an attack against U.S. bases in Europe over the next week or so.
I had heard there's been a fair bit of accusation, at least, of Russian sabotage around Ukraine.
Listen, man, that could be absolutely what the case is. Remember, Russia is vowing revenge for the Ukrainian missile strike that the Russians actually took out. And when they took it out, debris fell and injured like 150 people and killed like 3 or 4 on the beach in Sevastopol. Basically in Crimea. I would not bat an eye if because Russia uses mercenaries, and some of the mercenaries they use are groups like the Wagner Group, who are basically non-uniformed soldiers.
Well, we've used mercenaries before too. I mean, Blackwater and the like.
So
we call them contractors here, but it's the same idea.
We do not use contractors to pull off military operations that could start World War III.
No, we use them for security and such.
Correct. Because they can fill the role of American military personnel with slightly looser fitting gloves.
Well, that's it right there. The looser fitting gloves.
But you're talking about now, would I put it past Putin? Because again, he has sworn a revenge attack for what occurred last week in Sevastopol. Okay. Now, would you put it past Putin to use Wagner Group or to use some of his Chechen friends in a covert operation to have them attack United States military interests so that nobody could point a finger directly at Putin? Because again, if he attacks U.S. forces in NATO or France or Romania or Bulgaria, any NATO country, he's violated Article, or not violated, I'm sorry, but Article 5 would be
right
put into place. And so whatever listen, he says, I'm going to strike you back. I'm going to get you back. To date, a week later, he hasn't done anything. Do you think he's going to openly attack a NATO installation? Not a chance.
No,
not a chance. To his countrymen, he needs to appear as though he's being picked on by NATO. That's the only way that he's able to drum up support on a national level for a war against NATO.
Yep. No, Putin's got his own, like Iran has their Houthis. Putin's got his
Houthis.
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 I said Houthis.
Yeah. Houthis.
Houthis. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's nacho cheese. Then who's it? Anyway. Hi, Kevin.
Hi. Can we change subject?
That was my best Joe Biden impression.
You sound way too articulate.
Purple. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard about this. This was published earlier today, but it was something that was done early before. So Joe Biden issued a major pardon. Okay. And basically what he did was he issued a pardon for vets who had been kicked out of the service because they were convicted under a military law that had banned gay sex. That was male and females. Okay.
I posted something in our chat about
yes, you
that.
did.
Yeah.
So I want to get into the nuance of this and why it's still worth talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what happened is if up until 2013, if you were gay or lesbian in the military and you were found to have either had gay sex or you were attempting to have gay sex, the military could kick you out. Okay. And they would charge you with a sodomy law, essentially.
Yes.
Now,
so was it dishonorable?
It was
yes,
it was dishonorable.
Yeah, because you violated the UCMJ.
Yeah. And so And there were other laws. There were other things they could convict you of and kick you out as well. Like if your conduct unbecoming an officer was one that was commonly used. So they didn't use the sodomy law, but it was still because of the gay sex. But then they kicked you out because you were an officer, not acting as an officer, right? And so the law right now looks like it will have pardoned about 2,000 vets. Now, those are the ones who were convicted of the violation of the sodomy law. It does not get into people who were kicked out for other variations of that law. Okay, like the conduct on becoming an officer. So they could become a lot bigger. The problem is the only people convicted of those crimes were the ones who actually went through court, who went through mast or court martial, whatever, depending on what branch of service.
A lot
you're
of
in.
them took voluntary discharge and other stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So they would take a voluntary discharge, but they didn't want that on their record. So they would still get unceremoniously popped out. It would still be less than honorable, other than honorable.
It would be an honorable with an RE3 discharge code.
Yeah. Now the question is, what do you do with them? Because they're seeing their comrades, their fellow service members who are pardoned, but they took a less than optimal discharge when they got out because they didn't want that on their record. So should that be retroactive to them as well? Should there be some kind of an administrative pardon or administrative correction to their records because of it? I would argue, yeah. I would argue if the worst thing they did in their service and what got them in trouble in their service is the fact that they were a woman who had sex with another woman or a man who had another sex with a man, they were consenting adults, that it probably shouldn't play into their discharge status or their eligibility for benefits or any of that. Would be my thought. I don't know if you guys have an impression.
I do. I don't know about Tom.
Oh, I totally agree. I think I made mention when I put that article up in our chat. It was like, hey, Biden got something right.
I do believe that Biden was correct in this. I do not think it is necessary or proper to go any further. Here's why. There could be anybody that chose to opt out or take the out and stuff like that. They chose to go the convenient, easier route. They chose to not go the Article 15 in order to protect themselves and be able to go get further government employment and other stuff, right? Because there's a lot of things you can't do with a dishonorable discharge. So they chose to go that route. So how much did it really affect any of them? You don't know. They may have been planning on ETSing anyway. Like there's no way of knowing. There are too many nuanced things that could have occurred. And then you were playing this game and going back, well, Mike over here only had 1 month left before he ETS'd. What should we do? I mean, what are you going to do anyway for them? There's nothing to do for them.
Well, but there is.
Except, well, let me finish. I'm just saying that I do not I think that as far as he has gone with that is as far as he should have and did go. And I think that's it. You leave it right there.
Okay. I will disagree for this reason. Some of them still receive bad conduct discharges. So even though they opted out.
That's different, though. If you're saying that they got a bad conduct or an other than honorable discharge as a result of violating the Army's gay sex law, that's different. Then I'm for it. That's
right. So,
that's a cause and effect.
Right. But what I'm saying is that's the other step in this that I'm asking needs to happen.
If it's a directly attributable cause and effect.
But the problem is that
story.
The problem is that his pardon only covers those who went through the full court martial and were ruled and judged in that way. If they accepted a plea bargain, essentially with the federal government, right, to get out of the military, to somewhat protect their reputation, whatever it was, many of them were still given bad conduct discharge, and that's what I'm saying needs to be corrected.
It would seem to me that it won't take long before the appeals in the process come in, and they have to look at. Like I said, dude, it's got to be a provable cause and effect. There's got to be causation. And I think that you run into some real murky waters if you start trying to look at all the minutiae. Well, maybe this guy was this, or maybe he was that. Look, you were charged with having gay sex. This is the result. What do you want to do? Somebody like that, then yeah, they should get it. It's directly provable. You can show it. That's where it should end, in my opinion.
So you're saying that we shouldn't see tort claims and claims for reparation payments or
correct.
Yeah.
They should get what they're owed. It was a bad law when they did it. Phil?
And get their benefits, right? They should be eligible for their VA benefits. Yeah.
So this is just the obvious joke. So is this like the original F round and find out?
Nobody gets credit for that one. Come on. He does get credit for that one.
Funny. Now, question though is so like there's a similar parallel. There's a the Fisher v. United States with the Jan Sixers. is that going to affect those who maybe took plea bargains and stuff? Similar thing.
Oh, I'm sure it would. I mean, yeah. I mean, and
It's
you're talking
realistic question.
You're talking about, so again, just for the listeners who don't know, that Supreme Court ruled, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, that the obstruction of justice charge couldn't carry over. That it wasn't. Now, again, most of these people that are locked up because of January 6th were charged with more than just the obstruction charge.
All
so
but one.
It doesn't mean
Yeah,
that they're
there
going to
was
get
only
out of
one.
jail or anything else is really going to change. It just means one of those charges is going to go away. But Phil's got a great point, right? I mean, how does that go to those who took plea bargains? How does that get, and here's the other question.
This stuff happens in law. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened here in a big way in Washington State with regards to possession of drugs.
Yeah.
And so these things do happen, and there are, cascading events that occur as a result.
Well, and here's where the trickle down comes in, right? And it relates to what Phil just brought up and what you said a minute ago about not going any further in regard to these military members. The problem is those military records are sacrosanct, right? I mean, we've seen that, right? Those military records are pretty sacrosanct. And if you have in there that you violated a rule, that you were kicked out under less than honorable conditions, that can impact your life. That can impact your ability to get a job, security clearance, rent a house, all kinds of stuff.
Well, let's be clear though. And you did time in the Navy, so I did time in the Army.
We did time.
We did time. The day that I got to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and I realized that U.S. Army meant Uncle Sam ain't released my ass yet, is what it really meant. Listen, there's a reason why we have rules and there's a reason we have laws, right? Mm-hmm. And they are not necessarily for the same reasons we have them out in the civilian world. Mm-hmm. We have laws and we have rules so that it keeps us in check as military personnel, to keep us focused and to keep us performing our duties to the best of our ability versus, we have rules out in the outside world here of speeding, right? It's to collect money, to generate for the city or the state. Because you drove too fast, stuff like that, right? So there's different reasons for, safety, is a rule that we worry about in the outside civilian world.
Well, speeding, where are you speeding, right? Are you speeding on the highway or are you speeding in the school zone?
Hey, Tom, issues over here, and you're kind of taking us over here. Go ahead.
That was all. That was all. I mean, I'm just being specific about it, right?
Yes, you were.
But those issues exist. I mean, those specific issues exist
Those
everywhere.
specific issues. Okay. What specific issues? No, Tom, no, I was kidding. Just kidding. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Carry on.
Anyway, Tom totally threw me off. I'm so sorry.
Carrion.
Completely blamed Tom.
Paul. Oh, look, a squirrel. Yeah.
Ha, shiny object.
Oh, look, a squirrel. Carrion.
I just
most people do not get Tom Phil's sense.
I think under Phil's example, right? I think on Phil's example, the January 6 people though.
Yeah.
Like if they were convicted only of obstruction, or if they plea bargained to only obstruction, and that caused them to lose their job, then don't they have a tort claim at that point? Because if the obstruction case was unconstitutional and shouldn't have ever been brought, then they should have never been convicted. They would have never lost their job. Couldn't they then have a tort claim against the U.S.?
Well, they could always find an attorney to take a case. I do not believe that they would have a claim, though.
You don't think so?
No, but because they were being charged under the appropriate or applicable law at the time, and if it got changed post facto, whatever, I don't remember the jargon, but if it got changed after the fact, they'd have a hard time holding anybody liable. It's like if you get a ticket for doing double the speed limit and then the state changes the law a week later, you can't go back and say, I want my money back, because you broke the law while it was the law.
Right. But what the Supreme Court ruled is that law never should have been a law, that it was improperly applied. And thus it's not like saying they changed the law. They've said the law was bad.
Yeah.
The law was an illegal law at the time. So wouldn't that nullify it?
Similar to the drug charges where people are then released from their sentences.
Yeah. No, I think it's completely different. What we've said with the drug laws is that we're not going to have this law in effect anymore.
We went back retroactively and released people that were in jail.
But no court
that
came
changed
and said
a lot of stuff.
But no court came and said this never should have been a law. This was fraudulent the entire time and never should have been enforced.
Correct.
And that's what the Supreme Court has said with the obstruction is this was wrong from the onset and never should have been.
But it won't. The point, overall reaching point in this is that it's not going to affect. There was only one person where that was the only charge against them.
Well,
Only one.
That's in jail, right?
It's like
Or is that-
746. There were 746 people charged.
That's in jail,
I
or does that
believe.
include the people who took plea bargains?
That's people that have been charged and prosecuted.
Okay. All right.
I only know it because I looked it up last night. Listen to that little turd on TikTok.
Tom, I have a question for you from Holly when we come back from break. And I was not aware about this from libertarians, so I'm not saying she's right or wrong, but I'm going to ask the question as a libertarian. I want you to speak for the entire party, all two of you,
all two
and
of us.
and tell us if it's correct or not, and then explain if you can.
Sure.
Now, again, I will say this before we go to break, as I'm still on before we go to break. Keep in mind, the libertarians are not a fluid party, as in, not all libertarians are on the same line on the political spectrum. You have some libertarians that want to burn everything to the ground, go to total anarchy.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
you have some that are varying shades thereof. So I don't know if Tom can speak to all of us.
I mean, it's like any party. I mean, you've got your fringes, and fringe libertarians are a little nuts.
Did you say French libertarians?
Fringe.
Oh, fringe.
F the French. Hey, speaking of parties, I'm going to have my K-Dog is finally single, ready to mingle, and looking for a wife party this Friday night at the Dugout in
I
Bremerton.
thought the agreement was we carry your private life out of the radio show.
Outlaw Radio. Back after this. All right, Outlaw Radio. Phil, were you able to get a hold of that link, or no?
It's okay. I'm
just asking you. Don't get all ruffly
Put
over
it in
there.
the private
No,
chat on StreamYard.
Paul's gonna. Oh, we could play it on the private chat over stream. Do you want me to do that, Paul?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, it's gonna take me. Does it have bad words in it?
Yes, that's why I'm playing it during
Okay,
the break.
play it that way. Then I
Okay.
won't be able to get it up in time. Go ahead.
Ready?
That's what she said.
All right. This is specifically for Kevin, and if you
Hurry up,
listen to
then.
the show long enough, you'll totally understand.
Here we go.
Oops, hold on.
Now start it over. Come on, Paul.
Hey, the volume was down. Bite me. in
I know. Go
Polish.
ahead.
1 minute.
Jesus Christ, sir, I just saw your shirt. What the hell? This shirt says Bukkake ruined my carpet. And you're groaning my joke?
5 seconds.
Outlaw Radio.
Apparently, I can't count time. You still got another 50 seconds.
All right, here we go.
Bukkake
this
ruined
guy.
my carpet.
This guy is so funny.
You know what? I'm gonna blame you. Why did you allow this to happen? Are you married, dating? You're married. Well, you have just given up. Like, wear the Bukkake shirt. What is the origin of that? Why? What does that mean? No, I mean, I know what it means. It's not my first show on a mall. I know what it means.
All right, Outlaw Radio coming back on AM after this. Bukkake ruined my carpet. Paul's life story back after this.
I'm Brandy Cruz, host of the Undivided Podcast, and you're listening to Outlaw Radio. Good luck.
Outlaw Radio.
.gov.
All right. Holly's full of questions tonight, and she waits to the last half hour
Well,
to
that's
ask them.
okay.
So I'm going to try to get to all of them. But she has questions
if
for
she call
Lori and comments to me and questions to Tom. And so, Tom, I want you
really call in. It'd be really more.
it would be
interactive.
much easier. Tom, Holly had a
Yes.
question for you. She said, can Tom Martin explain why libertarians want to see the age of consent laws abolished so badly? And then she goes on to say later,
Pedophile.
the question was triggered by the implication of Tom's position on speed limits. So do libertarian? Well, basically, the libertarians don't want any laws. So no laws would also mean getting rid of laws like age of consent laws, right? So
that is not entirely accurate, but carry on.
okay, well, I guess the first question is: do libertarians want to get rid of age of consent laws?
I have never heard that.
Where do you, as a libertarian, and you speak for the entire party because there's only two of you in it,
All two
where
of
do you
us.
stand on age of consent laws?
I think we need to have an age of majority in this in society that is a little more universal. I mean, 18 is worked just fine. So
Okay.
why don't we just work with the age of majority being 18 and knock it off with this consent stuff at 13 and 15 and 14, depending upon where you live. Just age of 18.
So you're not, as a libertarian, you're not trying to get, and you haven't heard of it.
I have never heard of that.
All right.
No.
Easy question. Thank you, Holly. All right. Holly also asked a question of Lori. Does Lori plan on keeping me blocked indefinitely? It's been a couple of years. Just wondering if she's afraid of happening if I can see her comments. Are you ever going to unblock Holly from your page, Lori?
If she gets
Inquiring
elected,
minds wanna
she
know.
will.
Inquiring minds want to
She'll
know.
unblock her if she gets elected.
She has to if she gets elected.
I'm not even aware that I blocked her, so I'll have to go check. I know that there's a lot of people I've blocked in the chat, when we get scammed. So Holly, if you're part of that group, sorry about that, but I'll look into it.
Okay. Look at that. Everybody's
Lori's like, but you should have been nicer and I wouldn't have done it.
Everybody's accommodating to Holly tonight. Holly said, nope, they specifically advocate for abolishing age of consent laws regarding sex. It's a
Is that part
byproduct
of
of wanting less
I would
laws.
ask if that's part of their party platform.
We'll have to look.
But
It
you should look
it
that
is
up.
hard for me to put Tom in the position to answer that question if he hasn't heard of it before and he personally doesn't agree with it. So
look
listen,
it up.
I think if we ever get Chase Oliver back on here, I think that's a good question to ask
I'll
him.
look it
He
up.
might hang up on us and never call into the show again.
I will tell you that Chase Oliver, the Libertarian Party nominee, is some of his behavior and actions in the past is really questionable. I will leave it at that, and I would just invite anybody else to.
So
Questionable to me as a
What-
conservative man.
One of my observations with the libertarian ticket, I was talking earlier how I'd like to see the, Washington State, the legislature and such a little more balanced, no super majorities, no majorities really, because I can't have my way. So I just don't want either party running away, unchecked. Between Chase and Mike, they seem to be a really good balance between each other. Mike seems a little bit more of like a Mises caucus kind of guy, and Chase seems to be a little bit more on the liberal side, and I think they balance each other. So,
Phil,
I'm going to say reviewing, LP.org. Here we have under 1.4 personal relationships. Towards the end,
1.4. I thought there was two of us.
Touche.
It goes on to say consenting adults should be free to choose their own sexual practices, personal relationships, and it goes on from there. But it does say consenting adults. So the implication is they're applying the term adult.
I think the hard thing with the Libertarian Party, Tom, correct me if you think I'm wrong, because you're more of an expert on your small band of hooligans than I am. The issue with the Libertarian Party, it's almost like the Soviet Union, right? It's a bunch of loose Confederate ideas that kind of band into one title, but it's not like Republicans kind of agree on main core things, right? Gun rights, less taxation, get rid of abortion. The Democrats agree on main core things, right? Social programs, allow abortion. You know what I mean? And libertarians are these
have the same ideals.
But they vary greatly, don't they? Because again, you've got groups of libertarians that would burn things to the ground.
When you look
Yeah,
at the
when
party
you
platform,
when you get out to some of the weird fringes, but yeah, if you look at the party platform, it's
straightforward.
Yeah, small government, taxation's a big deal. Let's knock it off with the wars. Free market. It's pretty cut and dry.
Hold on. Can you play breaking news music for me real quick, Phil? Do you have access to that?
Yeah, and then there's a few that get into some of the really weird stuff, like they take the idea of deregulation too far.
Too far, yeah.
Right, because we have to have some basic rules, right? Don't kill each other, don't take each other's stuff, drive on the right side of the road. I mean, there has to be some rules.
Sure.
Unless you're British.
Yeah, breaking news from CNN, by the way. CNN just posted a article about 5 vegetarian 4th of July recipes for your cookout. Kids, if you're cooking vegetarian or vegan options at your 4th of July cookout, please take an M80, light it, and stick it in your mouth.
Oh.
Please.
Oh.
Dude.
The 4th of July is no please for veganism and vegetarianism.
There are some
While I would
dumbass kids out there, man.
While I
listen
would
to this
agree
show.
with that sentiment, I think the M80 might be a little extreme.
That'll fix your taste buds.
Those are not the personal feelings or beliefs of Democrat candidate Lori McPherson.
But they are
For
the
sure.
feelings and beliefs of the sponsor of that segment, Black Ring Spirits. Remember, even if your palate is blown up by an M80, you can still enjoy some fine alcohol from Black Ring Spirits.
Just because we're coming up to that time of year when there will be fewer people with 5 fingers on each hand than there than we started the week with.
I saw a meme that said some people are not aware this is the last weekend they'll spend with all 5 fingers.
Jeez.
And I thought, well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
to
true.
be clear on Phil's
funny.
point,
I mean, it's in bad taste, but it's funny.
he read 1.4 out of the Libertarian Party platform, and it says very clearly, to Phil's point, sexual orientations, and this is under it's personal relationships, sexual orientation, preference, gender, or gender identity should have no impact on the government's treatment of individuals, such as in marriage, child custody, adoption, immigration, or military service laws. The government does not have the authority to define, promote, license, or restrict personal relationships, regardless of the number of participants. Consenting adults should be free to choose their own sexual practices and personal relationships until such time as the government stops its illegitimate practice of marriage licensing. Such licenses must be granted to all consenting adults who apply. The only part here, though, is when you read it, I can see where Holly could take that to mean they're trying to do away with the age of consent. Now, the caveat there is they say, quote, must be granted to all consenting adults, but yet they do not define an adult.
It's been pretty well established.
I don't
by
disagree with that
precedent for a long time.
I don't disagree with that.
Age of 18,
but it's
is
adult
consenting adult.
But it's as low as 14 in other places.
And again, you can't own a gun till you're 21. You can't smoke till you're 21. I don't think that there's a predominant age of 18 anymore like there used to be. 18 used to, but now we have altered that to the left or to the right of that number. Again, at 13 years old, you can decide to proceed with your own medical treatments. You can't smoke till you're 21.
But at 13, you have to be able to afford your medical treatments.
No, you don't. You can be on your parents' insurance and get your medical treatments and not have to take your parents.
See, I'm just saying.
I hear what you're
a lot
saying.
of room, and like I said, to what Holly said, consenting adults should be free to choose their own sexual practices, but it doesn't define adult. And we know that in the United States, in some places, the age of consent goes all the way down to 14. I think that's in West Virginia or someplace like that. So I don't really know. I'm totally guessing.
Yeah, I mean, we could deep dive into more libertarian thought on Mises.org. I mean, they go in. That's where you can get a lot of in-depth, intellectual thought about these things.
Holly, really quick. Holly, I was just kidding about the M80. Obviously, if your kid's vegan or vegetarian, make her whatever she wants. Like I was just being a smart ass.
They do.
I'm hilarious.
In 1.6, it says adult rights and responsibility. Once individuals are presumed to have adequate judgment to vote and serve on a jury or in the military, they should be presumed to have sufficient judgment to design their own purchase, use of alcohol, tobacco, firearms, cannabis, and engage in other activities currently restricted. So basically, they're saying it comes down to how smart you are. Well, there are some people who wouldn't be an adult until
I think they're saying
if
you can serve in the military, you're old enough to drink and smoke.
Yeah, I think that's what they're
yes,
saying.
so basically, they shouldn't go in the military till you're at least 27.
Probably, right? I mean, when does the brain stop developing?
26, yeah, 26, 27.
Yeah, but
some men around 13.
Yeah, but
right?
that's you want young soldiers before their brains are done developing, so that you can turn them into soldiers.
Yes, yes. I you don't have to defend the Libertarian Party. We agree with you.
I'm
okay. I just want to make sure that you know that we agree with you.
I wasn't aware of this story. Can I bring this up really quick? Because this is a little shocking to me, especially with how long it's been.
Okay.
Are you aware that 2 officers from Uvalde have been charged?
Yes. The former chief of police, I believe, is one of them.
Yeah, let me read that to you.
Yeah.
So
this is a tough story. But
so the former Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo. Yeah, he surrendered to Texas Rangers on Thursday. He's been booked on 10 felony charges of child endangerment with known criminal negligence, for failing to recognize the incident as an active shooting, for failing to take proper action to intervene. It was because of the 10 children listed in imminent danger. And then the other officer is Adrian Gonzalez. He was charged with 29 counts of abandoning and endangering a child.
29.
They were both booked in jail, and they've it looks like they've both been released on $10,000 bond.
There weren't 29 children killed in that shooting.
No, but there were 29 children in the vicinity of the shooting.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure how they were. I mean, there too many people died in that. But I was just trying to figure out how they were.
This is a tough one because when you watch the videos of that circumstance, I know we all have a hard time imagining why those officers, including that chief, would have acted the way they were. But we saw this in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, I think that was the name of the high school, where the security guard sat outside cowering, and the courts ruled he did not have a duty to put his life in danger to protect those kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing some massive differences in laws. Between Texas and Florida.
Is there a difference between a security officer and
he was a cop? He was just off duty, and it was a second job for him.
So the police chief may be a different issue because he's charged with failing to recognize and respond to the mass shooting. So this is less in physically putting his life on the line and more essentially a dereliction of duty in that he didn't respond correctly and because he didn't recognize that people died.
There were a lot of people in that didn't respond
Mhm.
accordingly.
Well,
And that's why that's...
Yeah, I think with him it's about...
Are we going to go around and start prosecuting cops because they suck?
Well, again, but I don't think this is about cop action or whatever. I think this is about decisions made by his office that he did not, as the person in charge, send officers there, respond accordingly, follow protocols, whatever. I don't think it's about the fact he didn't go running into the school with his gun. It's more about he didn't respond accordingly as the lead law enforcement person to the crisis at the time. That's my impression from reading the story.
What wasn't part of the holdup for that shooting? Wasn't that because they couldn't get a hold of the boss?
I don't know.
I thought
I don't know.
I thought I remembered reading that they held up. They didn't go into the classroom where the shooter was because they were waiting to hear from the boss to say yes, go.
Yeah,
I
think. Oh, go ahead, Phil.
I was going to say, and wasn't the issue like I'm just looking it up? 376 law enforcement officers descended upon this school, and not one of them was empowered to take action and save lives.
Yeah, there was one off-duty guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy that's been charged with the 29 counts. So here's what it says.
What?
Yeah, the AP, the police chief for Uvalde failed to identify an active shooting, did not follow his training, and made critical decisions that slowed the law enforcement response to stop the gunman who was, quote, hunting victims and ultimately killed 21 people at Robb Elementary. Pete Arredondo was arrested and briefly booked into the Uvalde County Jail before being released Thursday on 10 state jail felony counts of abandoning or endangering a child on the attack that killed 19 children and 2 teachers. Former school officer Adrian Gonzalez, he's the one that you're talking about. One of the first officers to enter the building after the shooting began. He was indicted on 29 similar charges that accused him of abandoning his training and not confronting the shooter even after hearing gunshots as he stood in a hallway. And that he's the one that you see on video. He's texting and all kinds of other stuff instead of engaging and moving forward they're basically holding these cops for all of the failures that occurred that day. They're making an example of these 2 police officers. And the state of Texas is sending that message. If you are a paid officer of the peace, you will put your life in danger and you will advance to the sound of the gunfire and you will take action during an active shooter. Because remember, we saw the exact opposite in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, it sucks that a message like this has to be sent to police officers. And you can argue, as Kevin might, they don't get paid enough. Remember, that was an issue.
No, we talked about that.
They don't get paid enough to put their life on the line. You're going to say the same thing about soldiers in the military?
They get paid less.
So I just,
not really.
I don't, you can use that excuse, Kevin, when you say, I'm not saying that you did, I'm just in general.
Right.
You can use that excuse, they don't get paid enough, when you can't fill the positions and people don't take the jobs. When you step up and you put your name on the line, you take that oath and you take that job, those things go out the window to me.
Yeah, I'm not.
You said you'd do
I'm
it.
just imagining.
Yes, you said you'd do it.
Yeah,
and that's why we pay you.
I'm just imagining if you're one of those officers and that's going on, and you're thinking, I'm gonna get myself killed over a $38,000 a year job. Like that's it. It's not like they didn't think about it just that day. That had to be something they thought about every day when they've gone to that job. Like, you know what? This isn't paying me enough for me not to come home to my wife and kids.
You're right, but then you don't take the job.
Right. I would agree with that. I'm just saying psychologically that had to have entered into their lexicon.
I don't disagree with you,
You know
but
what I mean?
that's why it takes a certain type of individual to step up and take those kind of jobs. Just like it's a certain type of individual that enlists in the military. It takes a mindset and a desire to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers don't become teachers to get rich, although the pay is pretty damn nice nowadays. But they don't do it to get rich and independently wealthy, right? To me, it's the exact same thing. You take the job because you feel compelled to serve. And if you feel compelled to serve, that doesn't mean when it's just convenient.
Yeah. I don't disagree with it. Right. I mean, you had a really good comparison with the military, right? We know we don't pay our military enough. You know, we know that we don't give them what they deserve based on the sacrifice that they make. But I still think it floats into the lexicon. I think it floats into their brain every single day. When they're looking at their minimal paycheck, they're barely afford to get their families fed and all their bills paid. They're living in poverty in some of these areas, especially in Texas.
Maybe they shouldn't have changed the laws. You know, in Texas 150 years ago, you got bonuses for every person that you brought in, dead or alive.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, you can't pay cops based on their performance. Why not?
I don't know if the cop.
Actually, we do know why you don't do that, but I'm being.
I don't know if the cop should be charged. The police chief, again, this is about whether he followed training, whether he responded appropriately. It's not about actually going into the building, confronting the officer. I don't know if the officer should be charged because I don't know what he was ordered to do or not to do.
I don't know either, dude, but he was on video texting.
No, I agree. But if he was told by his commanding officer, don't engage. If he was told not to engage, then he's got to follow that.
But that's why he's being charged because he didn't follow his training. He did not advance to the sound of the guns. He did not engage you at a shooter in a school, man, hunting children.
Yeah. The only thing that scares me about this is it's going to make it harder to find good cops.
It's already easier to find good cops.
Or easier to find good cops in the sense that you're setting a standard, you're setting an example, you're telling people this is what we want. The problem with that is on the other side of it, right? Is that every time cops make a mistake, first of all, unjustifiably, cops are being blamed for gunning down unarmed black men, which we now know, according to the research, is not true, but doesn't mean that it isn't still being pandered to in the lexicon of English, right? In the United States of America, you turn on an afternoon talk show and you will consistently hear about the overwhelming numbers of minorities that are unarmed and shot and killed by cops, right? And again, we know unequivocally, based on the research done, although the gentleman's name escapes me right now, that that's not true. It's patently false to the point where he was afraid for his job once he released the study. And in fact, he was told, yeah, dude, you shouldn't release that study. He's like, but the information is there.
Yeah.
The data proves that that is a false narrative that is being put out there, right? And you know what's interesting is how come we didn't hear people on the left that have been pushing that narrative for years? How come they didn't come out and say, oh, damn, turns out I was wrong all this time?
Mm-hmm.
Where was Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar? Where was Nancy Pelosi or any of the other far left folks on the squad in Congress saying, turns out a African-American man did this study and paid for all these pre-grad students, whatever they call them, to come in and do all this research.
Interns.
They weren't though. There's a name for them, and I don't remember what it was. For their paid researchers at the college level. I don't remember what their name is. No, they weren't students. It was people that get paid to come in and do the research, and I think they're like they're graduate students. Yeah. And so I don't know. Maybe Phil's right. Maybe the right name for them would be intern. But they were paid, and I thought interns don't get paid. But maybe I'm wrong about that too.
Well, I want to respond. Robert and Holly are actually agreeing on something,
Mm-hmm.
which just makes my head explode. Both talking about. Robert says, "Do you know what the average cop makes? Kevin is nowhere near 38,000. Holly and the cops aren't paid well enough as a myth. Go look at the salaries for BPD, KCSO, etc." First of all, let me just clarify this. The numbers we found for Uvalde officers are as of June, which is 57,000. But if memory serves me correctly, and don't quote me on the 38. But if memory serves me correctly, at the time of the shootings, they were down near 40.
It was like $28 an hour starting wage.
Well, that's what it is now, and that's what puts them at the 55.
Yeah.
But I believe at the time of the shooting, this was part of the discussion and part of what Uvalde committed to do in response to the discussion was start paying to try to get better cops. At the time of the shooting, I think they were down near 40. It may not have been 38, maybe it was 42.
Well, and let's put
but
that
it was in that range.
Let's put that in perspective. Washington State, a state that has been controlled in 100% fashion by Democrats since 1988. Yes, I will keep beating that horse. Okay. Washington State, according to the recent data that came out, to live comfortably with a family of 4, you have to earn $104,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, $104,000
for
if you're a cop married with 2 kids in Washington State, your wife had better have a good job.
Yeah. Well, and again, I don't know, we can look at the state levels as well. And Holly said, well, look at BPD, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to look at BPD because that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about was Texas.
Yeah.
And the officers involved in Texas. And
Yeah.
I will die on this hill that at the time of the shootings, the pay was way lower than it is right now.
I understand what she's talking
Well,
about.
I do too. But we just weren't talking about that.
Yeah, I know people that are in law enforcement here in Washington State, and they make a pretty comfortable living.
Well, hold on. Let me look real quick. Hold on. Average salary, police officer in Washington State.
Well, Bremerton is $70-some thousand.
Yeah.
According to Indeed, it's 81 to 130.
Yeah.
According to
You can't
ZipRecruiter,
use
it's
it.
41 to 100.
Indeed is not accurate.
According to salary.com, it's 61 to 81. According to talent.com, it's 61 to 110. Again, these are all different sources.
Yeah,
but
and they're all wildly different.
No,
so-
they're
It's
not
gonna be
really. I
different
mean,
municipalities too.
60s to hundreds, you know,
Yeah.
between 60 and 100,000.
King County is going to be different from Kitsap, from Pierce,
Salary,
from Kittitas, from
Glassdoor.com, 80,300.
in Bremerton, it's $79,109 is the average salary. Average salary for, so that's not starting wages.
Average.
That's the average salary.
And I guarantee, so 79, so essentially 80,000. I guarantee the average in Seattle is 20% higher.
In Seattle, you get a $30,000 signing bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
because they are so desperately short of officers. But you can't just go out and sign up to be a cop. You have to go to the academy first, and the academy only runs at certain times based on the needs of the state.
According to the Washington
education to get into the academy.
According to the Washington State Patrol website, a starting trooper makes $75,792. A trooper with 5 years experience is making over 104,000.
Mm-hmm. Even at that, I mean, it's 104,000. Like I said, is what you need. So if you're that officer making 104,000, that's what you need for you, your wife, and 2 kids to be able to live comfortably. And they don't even define comfortably, by the way. So maybe that means you only eat top ramen and macaroni and cheese 3 nights a week. So I
preservatives.
But the point is still the same, right? That's not great money, and that's as a result of today's inflation and a whole bunch of other factors.
Now, living comfortably though, it's Velveeta shells and cheese. It's
Yeah, I'm there with you.
And
yeah,
and,
Velveeta
and,
sells
and
it
I'll,
for sure.
I'll push back. 104,000 sounds great. That's damn good money.
When you are self-employed,
that's damn
yes, sir.
good money.
Yes, sir. There is nothing that will make you appreciate being self-employed like owning a business where you only take home paychecks during the holidays. And I will tell you right now, that's what it was like for me with my #1 non-food franchise in America, mailboxes, etc. F that. Good for all those franchisees that sold or were still there when UPS came in and bought all the shares up. And
yeah. So anyway, I don't, there's a lot of hate out there for cops. Like a lot, I get it. If you're going to ask them to do what you've asked them to do, you better pay them well. I think teachers should be paid much better too, but that's somebody brought that up in chat. But I think if you're going to ask cops to do what you're asking them to do, you better pay them well. But you better hold them to a really high standard, a very high level. I think the more money you earn, the higher the standard is for what you do in your job and the amount of integrity you have to have. And if you can't do it, they got to bounce them off the force.
Well, let's apply that to our politicians. Too.
That's not easy to do with unions.
You just said, no, you can't. Because you just sat over there and said a little bit ago when we talked about integrity that you don't care about integrity because none of them have it. So why would we care about integrity? So why would you suddenly imply now that we're supposed to give 2 craps when 10 minutes ago you said we didn't?
I don't care about their integrity. I care about their job performance. And if they can't perform on the job, they shouldn't be paid well.
But who
like a porn star?
Who do? But
Sure.
who defines what their job performance is? Who
Well,
do-
they got to take it,
We
double
the people.
penetration. And oh, I'm sorry, I totally misunderstood.
I
where
say
he was
if
going
you're
with that.
Congress,
My-
balance the budget.
Different.
Well,
yeah.
no, but that's not their job. They would argue their job is to listen to their constituents. And depending where they come from, their constituents may be at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains and a whole bunch of people with one tooth that are married to their cousin
Who's
whose
cleaning up my carpet?
response is don't pass anything, shut the government down. They may be doing exactly what their constituency has asked them to do, whether it's actually led to anything productive.
Do you think that part of Appalachia? Do you think they vote?
I'm sure they
What you
do.
I
Talking
bet
about
they
Willis?
don't. I bet they don't leave their mountain.
Damn, dude.
Look, the
Nothing
fact
bias right there.
the fact of the matter is, I hate to be the one to break this to you, but a politician's job is not to do anything. The politician's job
Leftist
is
got something
hold on,
right.
No. The politician's job is to listen to and represent the people who voted for him.
Yes.
And do you want to know if he did his job? If he gets reelected. Because if he gets reelected, it means the people in their district believe that he did what they, or she, sorry, women can be elected too, that he or she did what they asked him to do, and that's why they reelected him.
Are
So
you
if the
saying
budget's
that
if the budget's not passed, doesn't matter. If bills don't get signed, doesn't matter.
I'm with Tom
What-
on this one.
What matters
You're-
is they were elected to
you're plumb loco.
represent.
White
They
boy.
were elected to represent their constituents, and their constituents feel like they did it, and that's why they reelected them. And if they don't, and they get ousted, then they got fired because they didn't do their job. That's their job.
So apparently, according to Kevin, please correct me if I misrepresent what you said.
Mhm.
You can tell if a politician did a good job if they get reelected.
No,
What you said.
I didn't say a good job.
That's
I said if they did what they're supposed to do.
if they did what they're supposed to do, then they get reelected.
Yes.
Like
Isn't that a good job?
No.
putting forth a bill that
Look, I
they
go to
make up
work-
an excuse to leave the floor and aren't there to vote on it.
I go to work every day. I'm a federal employee. I've been there for nearly 15 years. It will take an act of Congress to fire
Yeah,
me.
well, you're getting to be like
Okay.
Joe Biden.
So
You'll be there forever.
You know what? I don't want to swear on air, but F off. Compare me to Joe. Okay? But it doesn't mean I'm good at my job. It just means I did my job. I show up every day and I do my job.
That's a
Now-
problem.
Now, hold on. My point is, you're right, it's a problem. But my point is that you're not acknowledging is that is the benchmark. The benchmark is, and maybe this has to be fixed. I don't know how you do it. But the benchmark is
Firing squads.
I got voted, I got reelected. That means I did what the constituents wanted me to do. They have approved me. They have given me my performance review, and I passed.
So you believe that the low information, single issue voter who doesn't know who the hell they're voting for or why, they just know the name,
Mhm.
is saying this person did a good job because I'm voting for him. Or I'm sorry, a job because I'm voting for him.
I believe the way our system is set up,
You
that's
think even
exactly
less
what
of
comes.
people
Hold
than
on.
I thought.
I do. Hold on. Talk about this more on Facebook. If you're on AIM, we'll see you Wednesday night at 7. I won't be here, by the way. But everybody else will be talking about me behind my back like they always do because they need a hobby.
Yeah, it's
For those
easy.
of you on Facebook, we'll see you in a minute. It's Outlaw Radio. What are you doing?
What I'm playing is not good for radio.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, it's
So anyway,
wrong.
we'll see you Wednesday at 7 p.m. Everybody else will be here, and I'll be back on Wednesday, on Sunday. Outlaw Radio.
Rich man know the rich man, Lord knows.
Check. Yeah. Are we back on Facebook?
You're back on Facebook.
Okay.
Oh, I
I'll be
thought that's
singing
what
at
he
church
did.
on Sunday.
That's what.
Yeah, they just put me 2 weeks apart. They don't usually do that. Normally it's like a month apart, but they put me 2 weeks apart. And it's because I didn't have a lot of availability later in the month because of whaling days and stuff. So they put me early in the month.
Well,
So then it'll be a while before I do it again.
no Holly calling in today. I guess she had a cry break.
A cry break?
Yeah, earlier she was crying.
Holly said she'll come fill in for me on Wednesday. No, she won't. Holly, don't.
Well,
don't,
hey,
don't lie.
Holly, if you want to do that, there will be a seat available for
Yeah,
you.
we would love to have you in, but we know you're not going to come.
No, we don't.
Now, I will say, here's what I've learned. I could go to the parking lot before the show, get it all cried out ahead of time. We're just good to go.
Anyway,
I'm a
I will
jerk.
say
I'm a jerk.
since Tom and Lori will be here hosting, there will absolutely be an open seat for Holly if she
You won't be here Wednesday?
shows up. I said me and Tom and Lori.
Oh, I thought you just said Tom and Lori will be hosting. Like, you're not
Oh,
gonna be here?
no.
Okay.
That's
I apologize. That was not
Oh.
what I intended to say.
Can
Because I'm
I-
even bringing in barbecue sauce for Tom to try.
Can I publicly
I'm gonna have to
say
make some barbecue sauce
to you guys how much I appreciate you guys making the consolations for me to miss one Wednesday a month?
Why?
It means a lot to me that you guys allow me to do that. So
I miss 11 out of 12 shows a month. I mean, I don't know what you're.
I know you do. But I just, unlike you, I will say thank you and acknowledge when people make sacrifices for me. So I just want to acknowledge you guys and tell you thank you because it's been really important to me and just something cool that I get
Hey,
to
at
do.
my
So-
age, I'm glad I get exercise. That's what softball.
Holly, if you'd like to go to church with me on a Sunday, I'd love to have you. I'll even pick you up. I'll buy you a coffee.
Now, he doesn't mean
whatever you want.
have you like in some sort of coitus type of way.
No,
That's
I
not
didn't
what
mean
he's
that,
saying.
no.
Oh, geez. Why
That's
ruin
not
it?
supposed to happen at church. Anyway, Holly, you're not supposed. No, not at church. No,
he's,
that's
he's
what they tell me.
Protestant.
Now, if you were Catholic and it was a small boy, then I guess it's okay. But not at my church. Anyway, Holly, if you'd like to come to church, I'll buy you a coffee. You can sit with me. I'll teach you some of the songs. There's no secret handshake you need to know, but we can make one up if you'd like. All right. Yes, Paul. Back to what I was saying before.
Yeah, well, we're done. Good night.
I
Say-
believe
everybody says they're.
I think really lowly of the American voter.
Yeah.
I don't think the average American voter is smarter than a box of rocks.
I don't think the average American voter. I'm gonna change the way I phrase it. The average American voter spends more time trying to figure out who they're going to vote for on America's Got Talent than they do on, political things.
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree. Listen, you've seen some of the voting on American Idol. Those are the same dipshits you're putting in charge of voting for president. Congratulations, great
Listen,
work.
you guys are both wrong. Here's why.
Daughtry didn't make it to the finals. Are you serious? Well, I'm still sour
Listen,
over that.
I'm telling
He's a
you
nice
guys.
guy.
You guys bring up completely valid points, but here's the thing: right now in this political world, people, especially younger generations, are paying a hell of a lot of attention to who's running. The problem is they don't know shit about the issues, and they don't take the time to truly research the issues. They basically, what Jon Stewart say about it?
No,
they're looking at
voters.
they're looking at TikTok to get their news and information and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of misconceptions, a lot, and once they hear somebody that they admire on social media or on television state something as a fact, they take it as such. And so we have a real serious issue. And look, I'm talking about on both sides.
Yeah.
There are people that are supporting Trump that don't know a damn thing about the guy other than his mom and dad are voting for him. It's the same thing with Joe Biden.
Yep.
Right. So, that's where it behooves us having the conversations.
They know Joe likes pancakes.
Holly said she'd come to church with me, but she's afraid she burst into flames. Listen, Holly, I'll make you a deal. You come to church with me, I'll dress up like Fireman Bill from the old Mad TV skits, or what show was that was on Fox? Remember, it was Jim Carrey was dressed up as Fireman. You know what I'm talking about? Was it Fireman Bill?
That's like what my wife says to me anytime I want to take her someplace and she doesn't want to go. Her response is always, if I go, I'll feel like a whore in church.
Damn.
So, Holly, if you want to go, I'll dress up like Fireman Bill and I'll carry a fire extinguisher and I'll buy you coffee and whatever other concessions you'd like to make for me to get you to go to church, I'll take you to church.
Now he's bribing her to go to church.
No, I will. I'll bribe all you fuckers to go to church. Jesus loves you. Someone has to. Jesus does. Okay. So I'll gladly,
but don't get going there.
I'll gladly take all you guys. You want to go to church with me on Sunday, Paul?
My mom loves me.
There you go. Phil's mom.
You want to go to church with me next Sunday, Paul? I'm singing.
Do I want to go to church with you next Sunday?
That isn't a good way to lead.
I'm a good singer. Shut up. I'm a
You are
horrible
a good
human
singer.
being in
You
a lot
are
of
a
other
good
ways,
singer.
but I'm a good singer.
He is a good singer.
Well, I hate to say what church because I was
Remember
just
this young
swearing.
some young
Just kick you in the blue balls there.
You guys are on my Facebook page. I'll share it later. Just watch my Facebook page. But I'll be singing Sunday morning at the 9 o'clock and 10:30 services. And
Does it involve water in the name?
I don't know. I'm not sure what songs we're doing yet.
No.
I should be practicing. I'm a little behind schedule. No, there's no water in the name. What church do you think I was going to?
I'm trying to remember his name now.
It's okay. Last words, Phil. You want to go ahead?
We're not giving last words yet.
Last word.
You finally show up in studio once in like 13 fortnights, and now you're like, I'm going to decide when the show's ending.
I love
Who
you
the
so
fuck
much.
do you
The
think
show's
you
over
are?
at 11, and everybody in here knows that we love
Tomorrow's
you.
a holiday.
But you will drag this out. Tomorrow's a what?
Tomorrow's a holiday.
What holiday?
It's the Monday before the 4th of July. It's a holiday.
What?
Huh?
It's a Monday before the 4th of July. It's a holiday.
Maybe for federal employees who don't work much to begin with.
Look, on the 4th of July, on the 4th of July, they were signing documents and papers. So you know that 3 days before the 4th of July, they were tipping
You're
back
right,
some
you're
whiskey.
right. You know who wasn't there?
Alexander.
Alexander Hamilton was not there. That's actually true. He
Phil
was not
didn't
there.
skip a beat, man. He's
Hold
like,
on, now I gotta look
I know
this
who
up.
wasn't
Hold
there.
on.
Alexander Hamilton. He was in an argument with some dude named Burr out front.
And you remember John Hanson?
Hancock?
No, Hanson.
John Hanson. I don't. Name doesn't sound familiar unless you're talking about the dude that goes looking for pedophiles.
First president of these United States.
Let me read this to you.
Before the Constitution.
Yeah, before the Constitution. Let me read this to you.
He was the president of the Constitution of the Congress, right?
No, not the Confederacy.
John
but-
Walker, you're correct, by the way. Let me read this to you. Alexander Hamilton was not a member of the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia when the Declaration of Independence was drafted, approved, and signed in the summer.
That's it. Done.
In the summer of 1776, because of his age, lack of experience, and social status. At the time,
he was an old man that couldn't handle it.
At the time,
emotionally.
Hamilton was 19
Young.
years old and serving in the Continental Army in New
Yes,
York
which
City.
was wonderful.
He was very young.
Yes.
Oh,
he was a
he
war
was-
hero
and-
too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was a war hero. He
but
led
not
the-
there when they signed.
He
the-
led the army in the Battle of Redoubts 9 and 10. I mean, at 19, he was a general in the army. I mean, I don't know what you guys want from a founding father to make anyone more great than that. He founded the
Be old enough to be a father?
at 19 you can be a father. I was a father at 21. Shut up, Phil. He needs to get credit where it's due. You know what? Hold on. Hold on.
We referred to you behind your
Ham-
back, Kevin, as the Energizer Bunny when it comes time to end the show.
Hamilton-
Still going.
Hamilton's fine, but Franklin was better.
What did Ben Franklin do besides get the bald eagle? He wanted the turkey to be the national.
Yeah, I
bird.
know that's yeah. Franklin was brilliant. Are you kidding me?
Didn't
Totally. I mean, him, that kite and the key.
Yeah. Well, you know.
you said kite, right?
Kite.
Okay.
Which you no, dude. Oh Lord.
He was the nation's first Treasury Secretary. He founded the National Bank, the U.S. monetary system, the tax system, the Customs Service. He established the national debt. He started the Coast Guard. He founded the New York Post.
And
I would argue. Hold on. I would
But he
just
was
argue.
anti-2A.
No, he was not. None of the founding fathers were.
Can we talk about your buddy there in the Fed?
Hold on. All I'm going to say is this. Listen, if you look at the U.S. today, based on our monetary system, the Fed, the national debt, all of that, nobody had a greater long-term impact on the formation of this country.
Oh,
than
his
Hamilton.
idea about the Feds definitely
Fed
had one
was
hell of
Again,
not a good thing.
No
Again,
shit,
whether you
Sherlock,
like the
that's
Fed
right.
or not, whether you like national debt or not, I'm merely suggesting that his fingerprint that's on this nation still deeply drives what this nation is today more so than any other founding fathers.
And if
Any
he
of them.
kept his damn fingers to himself, we wouldn't have a national debt or a stupid central
Amen,
bank.
Tom. You just preach it.
I hate you. Well, hold on. So Lori, don't be disingenuous. Let me read this to you.
Oh, you're disingenuous.
Yeah,
Lori.
she's dishonest.
No, you're dishonest.
He didn't support the Second Amendment. Well, you have to read the entire reason why. He didn't believe there would be anyone living under the Constitution who would want to impose gun control. So he didn't believe the Constitution needed it because he didn't think anybody was stupid enough to be against it.
Oh shit,
He
that was
didn't
pretty.
have foresight.
Mic drop.
Whatever.
The Second Amendment wasn't imposed because the deer were coming to dinner.
Anyway, whatever. I hate all of you people. I don't know why you can't just give me something, right? I say I'm singing at church. Phil says, what's the reason not to go? I say Hamilton's the greatest founding father. He goes like, nope, he didn't have any foresight.
Listen, folks, listen.
Anything I say, you little bastards got to come back with something. Can't you guys give me something? Just one goddamn thing. We let Tom live in the glow of his stupid libertarian policies. We let Paul come in here in a t-shirt that looks like he used a dull pair of scissors to cut the sleeves off.
No, it was a razor blade.
Lori filed for political office because I egged her on to do it. Phil, I don't know what the fuck Phil does, and I do one thing. You guys can't give me one damn thing. I hate all of you, and I hope you all die in a fire.
Credit all the time.
Nice
What?
calves.
What?
Nice calves.
I have amazing calves.
We should get the calf cam. That'll be.
By the way,
Yeah.
we need to do new photos.
Nude photos?
New.
Why?
New. Lori wants nude
Nude.
photos.
Nude.
New.
New with a W.
Yes, new.
Okay.
Photos. I think you guys should wear the tie that fits your political affiliation.
Oh, my tie would be black.
My photo's done.
We should do photos.
Yeah, we should.
We already did when Spike was in.
No, we
wore
need
a
like
gold tie
professional
that
photos
day.
for the website, for our business cards, for my Pornhub page. We need professional photographers. yeah.
I have one.
You have a Pornhub page?
No, I have a professional photographer.
Oh, do you? Would
Yeah.
you reach out to them, see if they'll do something in trade?
My dad. All I have to do is ask.
Oh, perfect. All right. Perfect.
That'd be great.
Okay. Parting shot. Well, let's get to your comments first, and then we'll do parting shots and get out of here. Robert, we don't give leftists anything. Kevin, quit asking for a free ride. Robert, bite me. Holly said, it's okay, Kevin. I experience it all the time and I'm still alive. You'll get through it. See, Holly, you and I are kindred souls. You should come to church with me. Kevin Nelson, what are you, a cop? Russell the pharmacist on 2.5 Men. Rest in peace, Martin Mull. Yeah, rest in peace. He had some good roles, Martin Mull did. Yeah. Holly also answered the dang questions about church. Well, hold on. I didn't see the questions. I'm now looking at the.
Kevin, we're doing the final words now. You don't need to go off on a diatribe answering
Holly,
Holly's
just
questions.
call in. It's really
Hold on,
easier than trying to reread the chat.
Holly said, tell me why you want me to go to church with you, Kevin, and I'll think about it. Are you going to be singing? I will be singing on Sunday, July 7th.
Good singer, too.
I'm not leading any songs, so I'm just on that. I've been leading a lot lately, but I'm not leading the songs that day. I'm just part of the other singers up there. So yeah, I'll be singing. Why do I want you to go? Why not?
I mean, you're
like Holly, listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You and I butt heads a lot on the air. You can be very abrasive, so can I. But I really think the same way I felt about Heidi Hot Sauce. Completely different political angle, but the same thing. I think if you and I sat across the table for each other, we could have great conversations. I really believe that. So I will invite you to church, to dinner, to karaoke night, to hot cocoa, to ice cream on the water. I don't care, because I think having a face-to-face conversation would be really good with Holly, because she's passionate in what she believes in. People are saying shitty things in chat. I can tell by Lori's the giggle on Lori's face. I'm not even going to look at it.
Well, she's looking at me because we knew that you had an excuse to keep talking, so you were going to do it.
I'm just saying. I think Holly would be great to have a
No,
conversation with. I'd love to have it.
I'm just laughing because J. Andrew Kennedy wants to show up and do nude photos with you guys.
More power to you.
You're there. We'll do a dude-wah photo shoot. And listen, I'm going to add something. A couple years ago, when we had the issue that was kind of going around,
I just answered why you should.
With regards to, oh my God, her name escapes me. The rep from the 23rd, Tara Simmons,
Tara
right?
Simmons, yeah.
So we refused to go live with the packet of information that had all that negative stuff in it. So Kevin reached out to her and asked her to come on air so that she would have the opportunity to talk about it. And she was like, I'm kind of concerned about Paul. Yeah. So Kevin, she was concerned about sitting down with me, being more of a conservative individual, and her coming in here into like hostile territory.
And how abrasive we've been. And
yeah. So Kevin agreed with her to sit down before.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We call each other a friend now. Tara Simmons and I do, and we communicate on a somewhat regular basis. I've reached out to her for several things and even sent people to her for help on issues that a state representative could help her with.
Yeah.
And so, and I only bring that up to demonstrate that when we are here, we are taking stands on issues. We are also, I can't speak for Kevin, but I was trained in radio to be a larger
Jameson
than life.
White. Thank you, Jameson.
Yeah, to be, you effectively you want to have a larger than life personality. You want to be something that people either love or hate, but they become invested. And yes, that's part of this. And yes, it is who I am, but it's not necessarily the person that you get once we walk through that door. So that's what I will say.
Yeah.
Now, in Kevin's defense, this is all of what you get. Like there is no difference when you walk out that door. He is 100% the same person. And I say that lovingly, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Ooh, no, that sounded bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that, Kevin.
Are you charging, Kevin?
No, I usually get refunds. Holly
Except
said
in
you're not
Madden
supposed to
football.
talk in church. No, but you can talk before, you can talk after. I'm just inviting you, Holly. I'd love for you to come. And listen, and this isn't necessarily a Holly thing. I'll invite anybody to church. Anybody can go. Anybody. I will take anybody. I'll pick you up. I'll take you home. I'll buy you coffee. We'll go out and get really bad hash browns from Family Pancake House. By the way, Family Pancake House's hash browns are the worst hash browns on the planet. But I'll go with anybody. I don't care. Come to church. Someone go to church on Sunday?
How about you give your final words?
No, it's not his. It's Phil's turn to give final thoughts.
Sunday, I will be running my tasting room, my friend.
At 9:00 in the morning?
I'm usually up and getting myself out the door.
What
for
time do you
work.
open on Sunday?
We open at noon.
Look, he's not
At
going to
noon,
church.
so
if
you
you
can come to
stop
church from
asking.
9 to 10 and still
Phil,
be back in time.
Phil, go ahead.
You know, I have production things and stuff too.
That's why you have a wife. Phil, what's your parting
Oh
shots?
no,
Speaking of
we
production,
don't let the wife make.
I'll go ahead and invite people
No,
to
no,
church
no,
too.
no, no,
We're
no.
having barbecue this Sunday.
Are you really?
Outdoor service.
Hey,
one
fucking
service-
men.
You're having an outdoor service? Yeah, that's what Phil wanted to hear about church. Yeah. Hey, effing men.
Yeah, this time I got the tents anchored down so it's not blowing away.
When are you guys going to do it? Are you doing outdoor services every Sunday during the summer?
3
or-
times this summer, once a month. For
Will you let me know when one is? If I can come, if it's not on a Sunday, I'm singing
Well,
or serving on
it'll
a
be
greeting
the
team.
first Sunday of the next 3 months, including this one coming up.
Okay.
July,
Holly said,
August, September.
Plus, I'll
Holly
let you know
said-
next time we are doing a little Jewish meal thing because those are so tasty.
what was it that they came to?
It was either Hanukkah or
Oh,
Passover.
Seder.
Bloody Marys.
Yeah,
I make
Passover
a,
Seder, yeah.
I make a killer Bloody Mary.
Holly Ann says Bloody Marys. I feel like church is probably better with a buzz. That's up to you, Holly. You do you, boo.
I make a vodka that's perfect for Bloody Marys.
I've never had a Bloody Mary.
Oh, delicious.
Never.
Delicious.
Holly, you can come to my birthday party. You can come to my birthday party on the 19th, and you could come to my single party on the 5th. They'll both be at the
Okay,
dugout at
Lori,
9 p.m.
your turn. Final thoughts.
So, Phil, final parting shots. Phil goes first, and then Lori, and then
You already went.
You didn't give your parting shots, did you?
I was saying, join me for church this Sunday. There will be barbecue afterwards.
That is exactly what he said.
Would you bring some to the show that night so I can try it?
If I remember.
Thanks.
How's
Lori,
that for non-committal?
parting shots. You sound like a Democrat now. Congratulations. Lori?
You know, I have the mute button.
It's the last few days. Sign the initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which initiative?
2066.
2066?
Yeah, thank you.
What is
I gotta
2066
find
about?
one.
Natural gas.
Yep.
I've got to
And the
find one because
ability
it's
to
like
have it.
they're.
They have been doing them out in front of Walmart in Port Orchard.
I don't go to Walmart
Oh,
on purpose. I have a story.
I wish I had known
I
that.
believe you.
Just go there and sign it and then walk away. Like just sign the initiative
Phil,
and then don't go in.
I'm sorry. I wish I had known you needed one to sign. I just sent one in that I had in the distillery. They had 2
I
slots.
really have
left
no
on it.
excuse. The Republican Party's thing is right up the road. I should just drive up there.
Holly said, I'm scared I'd get kidnapped, taken to a basement, and hypnotized into being a trad wife. Holly, you can only dream so much. All right. Tom, parting shots. I would love it if somebody kidnapped me, locked me in a basement, and trained me how to be a good husband. That'd be great.
Don't worry, Holly. It won't happen. You're safe.
Yeah, we don't have a basement.
Holly said, sorry, Kev, I'm getting a Bloody Mary from Tom and then barbecue temple with Philip. All right. But you're not going to get me singing. Tom, parting shots. All right, Holly, you can get me singing if you come to my party on Friday at the dugout.
Barbecue Temple. What?
Well, you're having barbecue at the church. It's barbecue temple. Perfect.
Never heard of they called that.
I'm sure the Jews would be
There's a
opposed to
first
that.
for
but-
everything.
Yeah.
Toss
the table.
Yeah, just let's see here. Voting for the best in the PNW just ended, so everyone who is there to support Black Ring Spirits, thank you very much.
Awesome and good luck.
So yeah, we'll find out in September.
All right, Paul.
It's a long story, folks. Bear with me for a minute. Good night.
All right. I won't be here on Wednesday, so I'll just tell you all, please have a happy, safe 4th of July. Remember what I said before, some of you are not aware of the fact that this is your last weekend with 5 fingers. So please just take care of yourselves. Don't blow anything off. Please watch out for your pets. Thank you. Please, seriously, please watch out for your pets because the fireworks are not great for pets, horses, whatever. So just, be respectful of other people's pets and
My poor dog.
keep an eye on your
He
own.
does not like the kabooms.
The last thing I'm going to say,
antihistamines.
Yeah.
Children's chewable.
the last thing I'm going to say, July 19th is my birthday. I'm going to give you guys some ideas of things I'd like for my birthday, just so
Huh?
you can make that happen. Okay. I would love an autograph picture of Mandy Moore for my bathroom wall of fame. And I would love the T-shirt that says "Bukkake ruined my carpet." That would be the best. I would only wear it on this show. I could not wear it out of the house.
And you know what?
Sure
you
you
could put when you put that in a frame on your wall, you can hand write out Pete, and then put that like right over there.
Quick question for you, Phil. Holly said, "I didn't think saying church was correct. Is it church or temple?"
Well,
Where you go?
it's a church. It's in the name.
It's a church. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to tell the name of your church, or are you afraid to have that associated with the show?
Yeah, it's
That would
Abundant
be
Life
fair.
Foursquare Church. We're good people there.
Abundant Life Foursquare Church. And I will not say the name of my church on this show because I swore earlier, but I will say that Grace has a point in your faith. That's all I have to say.
So he's at Grace Point.
Thank you, Grace Point Church. All right.
You're welcome. Okay.
Lastly, Robert Parker. Kevin needs a day for his birthday. Robert, shut up. You don't even come to my parties anymore. Junior Kennedy. Kevin is going to boink a firework this weekend. Please don't. It's not worth it. And then that's it. We'll see you guys on Wednesday again, 7 p.m. I will see you guys next Sunday at 8 p.m. Have a great day. Have a great week. And remember, Jesus loves you. Somebody has to. Good night.